Um, yeah, this is the one I'm talking about, dude. This is one of my favorite songs from all of
It's
Tekken.
great. It's fucking good. Have you listened to the uncut version of it, where there's like a violin break in the middle of it?
Yeah, that's the version that plays in Tekken 6, though, right?
No, it
Where?
doesn't.
Oh well, I swear to God, I had that on my phone, on my iPhone, when I worked at my first job, and I would listen to it on the way home, where it gets the violin break, and then it goes into the guitar, the long guitar
Yes.
solo, where it's like, dude,
Yes.
yeah, that guitar riff, when you're actually playing a good match and it's back and forth during that guitar riff, it honestly reminds me of Dragon Ball Z music, in it reminds me. Did you ever play the Budokai Tenkaichi games?
Yes, I love those,
Yeah,
man.
dude, it reminds me so much of Budokai Tenkaichi 2.
That
That
one was actually
specific
the best
song.
one, dude.
I agree.
I
The
think,
story mode with the way you could power up your guys and shit.
yeah, I get like capsule pills and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was really sick.
Okay,
Um,
so I have Emotionless Passion from Tekken 2 as my Mishima Dojo stage.
Emotionless Passion. Oh, that one is a classic, dude. I fucking love that one. Did you actually play Tekken 2?
I played it in arcade, but I never owned it. Oh,
Which
you know
was your
what?
first
I
Tekken?
might have owned it. Oh, no, I never owned it, but I might have played it on console. I think I played Tekken 2 on console at one of my babysitters growing up. Well, what'd you say?
How are you?
What was it? Was Tekken 2 your first Tekken?
I would Tekken 2 and then Tekken 3. I was like really my first one, because Tekken 2 I have like virtually no memories of.
Uh,
But
Emotionally
Tekken
Passionate
3
is
I
very
played a
good.
lot with my sister at my babysitter's. But yeah, Emotionless Passion, and then I actually go from that to Staff Roll from Tekken 6.
Staff roll, let me check that out.
We've got some comments already actually on the stream. I'm gonna read them real quick.
Let me check out staff roll. Huh, that's an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
On Precipice of Fate.
On the second, final
Oh, well, the second is
song of Mishima Dojo. Because Emotionless Passion is pretty, like, low
it
tempo.
builds. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a slow march kind of thing, and then
And then
it
Staff Roll does the same thing, so...
yeah
Okay,
with the
so...
violin.
Snow
Yeah.
Castle from Tekken Tag 2, I have that for Forgotten Realm.
Oh, I love that one. That one's fucking amazing.
Mhm.
And the guy who wrote G from Tekken 6 wrote that one.
Oh,
And you
that's
can
cool.
tell like his style.
Oh,
Like
dude.
his style.
Go
I
ahead.
love it. His name is Goshina, by the way. It's Goshina.
Oh,
And
props
like
on
all of his
you for knowing his actual name.
Yeah, no, I fucking I love music, and I checked out that guy, and nearly all of his music is like that, like a whole different kinds of instrumentations, and he just blends genres. It's fucking incredible. I love it. Um,
You know what
Let me see.
bugs me is, have you ever heard the music from the 2D Sound and from the Toho games?
No, I haven't.
They have, if you type in TUTTI Sound, there's like
Mhm.
all of these insanely good orchestral pieces made for these video games of like these tiny anime girls. It's like the Toho is like this anime genre of like twin stick shooter. I'm not sure about all of them. I think it started as like twin stick shooters like Galaga almost, but like all anime.
Oh,
But
yes.
it's become like a bunch of different genres. But the music for those games is really fucking good. But
Oh,
yeah, I really recommend you looking up 2D Sound, because the music is just like some of the coolest orchestral pieces I've ever heard.
all right. I'll favorite it. I have a window open in my YouTube. I'm gonna
Yeah,
check him out for sure.
yeah. Just
Toho.
there's
Come on.
just no Tutti sound.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I typed in, but then
Okay,
it also
good.
says Toho.
Yeah.
Um, oh, you know what I changed my Arctic Snowfall to? From Tekken Revolution?
Yeah.
The ends of the Eternal Snow.
Let me listen to that. Oh yeah, I remember this one. Oh dude, Basamenko. Basamenko I have as from Tekken Revolution. I put
Oh yeah?
Basamenko on the last as the last. So I actually have G as the first two, or the as Duomo de Sirio. I have
Nice.
G, and then I
Mm-hmm.
have Basamenko as the final round of Duomo de Sirio. And dude, listen to Basamenko. It's like got this Latin fucking flair that perfect for Claudio's stage.
Ah, yes, dude. I know which one that one is. That one's really good.
It starts with
And
the
by the way,
fucking hand instrument or whatever it's fucking called.
a G is actually perfect for Duomo de Zero.
I know, dude.
It's
They,
it's
thank
actually really, really, really good.
you.
I'm changing it to that because that's really good. Um,
The fact that it's like all like I get it's
oh, I'm losing you, man. You're like cutting off in and out.
dude. I've been having dude lately. I don't know what the with my internet. Uh, I think I
Hold on.
missed my connection because I was able to download like a 90 gig game in less than 2 hours. So I don't think my internet's the issue.
Nice. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Let me close the stream. That's open. Like I'm watching the stream. I'm gonna close it.
Oh, it seems like it's okay. If it starts fucking up again, then you can close it. But I can hear you just fine right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. Oh, I have for G Corp Helipad. I have I'm Here Now, 7-3 mix.
Wait, I'm here now. Is that the Tekken 5 opening?
Yes, yes, yes. But listen to
I'm
this one.
here now.
It's not that. I know it is. It has the same name, but it's not that
Okay.
one. Just listen to the I'm Here Now remix. That's the one that I have for G Corp Helipad.
Which
Gateway.
game is that from? I guess Tekken 5. Right?
Yeah, it's from Tekken 5 when Heihachi and Jax, Heihachi and Hazuya are fighting the Jax.
It's called I'm Here Now.
Yeah, remix.
It's under Tekken 5.
No, it's under Tekken 7.
Oh, okay. Alright, I'm listening. Dude, fuck yeah. I'm gonna add this to my notes.
You know, I get a lot of shit for this, dude, but I actually like Leroy's second, like his custom theme. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's all right. I don't have it as anything. I don't think it fits with all characters. Or I don't know if it really even fits with any stage either.
I'm kind of like I don't know what to put for the helipad at night, so that's the one that I have for second.
I have
night.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I have Bit Crusher from Tekken 4. And then it goes to Chicago from the original Tekken for the final stage. But yeah, Bit Crusher is really like jazzy and cool.
Yeah, it's I think it's the one where they're in the city, right? By
I
the way,
can't
Tekken
remember.
4 was such an interesting game. It was so everybody talks shit about it because it just changed the mechanics so much. But that was one of the few Tekkens that dared to do something completely different. And every Tekken up to that point was always like changing the game up, like from 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 3 was 3D, and then 3 to 4 it had like weird walls and stuff. Um, and I love the tone of Tekken 4 more than any other Tekken, except maybe 3 because I have like attachment to that one. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the main man has talked about it a lot, but for sure, it's like one of those things where I just completely agree with him. Tekken 4, the stories, the writing was done so much better than most of them, and then
It is.
also the music in Tekken 4 is like also I think one of the strongest. But also the different elevations in some of the maps and the walls and the columns. Not just that, the stages, dude. How they were
Yeah.
just like actual places. Like, wasn't the beach stage from Tekken 4? Oh no, was that
Yep,
Tekken?
there was a
Sorry,
beach.
yeah, beach
Yeah,
stage,
that one
the
was.
mall or whatever, and then a fucking
The mall was awesome.
yeah.
I fucking love the mall. I love the building on top where you have like the glass at the bottom.
Mhm.
That was a really great stage. And another one that I liked a lot was the underground fight club. That one was so cool.
Mhm.
Let me
I feel
see.
like the stages have been similarly designed in the last three, except for Tekken 7 tried to be like more grandiose. Um, Tekken 7 I like half of Tekken stages and I dislike half of them. Like the
Yeah.
ones that are really simple, like
Mhm.
where Precipice of Fate, I think is really cool. Dragon's Nest, I think is really cool.
Mhm.
I think the Infinite Azure ones are cool for infinite stages. And
Yeah.
then, it's another one. Oh, of course, the geese stage is one of the coolest stages
Yeah.
ever.
I think it's
But
probably the coolest stage in my opinion.
yeah,
One that I don't like is the Forgotten Realm. I think that stage is kind of ugly.
it is
Um,
Forgotten Realm is Mishima Dojo is cool, but it could have been. There was a dojo stage in Tekken 6 I liked more.
which
Um,
which one was it?
I can't fucking remember.
Oh yeah, it was Jin's
I think it
dojo.
had this like It had this like when you turned around, it had this giant landscape you could look out on, right?
Yeah. It was Tekken 3's Jin's dojo, but just remade for Tekken 6.
It looked awesome.
Um, I cannot. I hate. I wish they would just get rid of these kinds of stages, like Kinder Gym. It's just a waste of space. It's
I don't get
ugly.
Kinder
There's a kid.
Gym. Even Mishima building, dude. It's like it's too repetitive, and you could have done something cool, like made it an actual place. What is this fantasy factory we're fighting on? Like, what's going on here? You know? Can I? Can we fight in like a real place? What if there was like a playground that you could fight on, and you're like kids are like running away, and you accidentally fucking like you kick a football or something like that, or like you fucking end up
I thought you
kicking
were
a
gonna say
toddler.
you body a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Mishima building, I think, is probably the most anime of all the stages for sure because it makes no fucking sense.
Right.
That's exactly how you said.
Duomo de
No sense.
Sirio is cool.
That one's pretty alright.
Yeah.
What do
I
you have
even
for
like
Kinder Gym?
Arena. Okay, for Kinder Gym,
Arena?
for Kinder Gym, I have Jiaoyu's stage from Tekken Tag. Actually,
Oh,
listen to that
shit.
one. It's oh you are familiar with it?
Yeah, it's like it's Daft Punky. I love it. It's
Yes,
really
dude. It's
good.
like, are you ready, Gooby? And then for the second stage of Kinder Gym, oh,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, dude. That's for Violet Systems. Another stage which is really bland. But Kinder Gym, I have for both the final and the starting one. I have Michelle Chang's stage from Tekken 2.
Oh, dude, have you listened to Michelle's from Tekken 3? That one is fucking great. Like it builds up. If from Tekken 3, not Tekken 1.
You mean Julia?
Yeah, Julia. I'm sorry. Um, it
Oh
starts off
yeah,
kind of
dude.
like,
I know this song. This
yeah,
song was the song they used on the Tekken Advance game, like the I think like the title menu screen for Tekken Advance, the Game Boy Advance Tekken game.
yeah. I didn't know that. Did you
Wah,
actually
wah,
play
wah,
Tekken
wah.
Advance?
I did, dude. I was really into the Game Boy Advance. I like Tekken Advance, although it's like really, really limited version of Tekken without sidestepping. But I liked playing Xiao Yu on Tekken Advance actually, because she was one of the few characters in that game that could actually combo
Yeah, jump over people.
or
Um,
juggle him.
oh my god.
But
Um,
okay, how about this for what's it called? Jungle Outpost. I have Estrada de Estrella from Tekken 5.
which
Have you heard that?
let me check it out.
Estrada de Estrella.
Strata de Estrella.
I think it's really good for a jungle
Oh
stage.
yeah, this one is so calming, dude. It
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of Final Fantasy X because Final Fantasy X had like very tropical settings, and it's
Yeah.
just super relaxing.
Oh,
You
dude.
know?
Besaid Island from Final Fantasy X is one of my favorite
Yes.
songs in any video game.
Yeah, doesn't it? I get those kinds of feels from it. I
Dun
don't
dun 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 dun
know.
dun. So that has got to be like the most chilled, relaxing song I've ever heard from a video game for sure. Because I still listen to that to this day. That and Wandering Flames from that same.
Oh, that's the one I was gonna tell you. It's like I'm not. You totally read my mind. That one is so like wistful. It's like
It's
such a
heavy,
poignant.
dude. It's so. It
I know.
actually will pull on your emotions if you like listen to it and are actually just getting into the music. And dude, you can put that music behind any fucking scene, and it becomes like a soap opera.
It does. No, it's really fucking good.
And they put it
It's
behind the
perfect.
scene where he's getting frustrated about his father, and Orange telling him, dude, it's like the fucking end of Goodwill Hunting. If they put that song, I would have fucking cried if they put that song at the end of Goodwill
We
Hunting.
should do a super cut montage where we just put that song to any dramatic scene and just see how it fits all of them. You
Dude,
know what I mean?
I need to get a fucking laptop. The only thing is I'm waiting to get a car, or else I would have fucking ordered a laptop. But yeah, dude, I'm totally down. It's just I'm all for editing. It's real fucking lame. I've never been in like this is the first year I've really been without a computer, but um, I would be so into this editing shit with you guys if I had a computer right now. But unfortunately, I can just be like, yeah, dude, I would love to, but you're gonna have to do all of it.
Going back to the Wandering Flame 3, it's so weird how, like, when you hear something particularly powerful like that, you have, like, a scene associated with it. And the scene that I have associated with it was when Titus, I call him Titus, you know,
I call him Titus as well.
yeah. When he realized that he was never going to go back home, and he's just, like, laying on Yuna's lap or whatever, and you could see, like, the sky kind of, like, turning, like, orange or whatever. That's, like, perfect, because it just embodied that whole hopelessness feel to it.
Dude, have we
It's-
talked about Final Fantasy X before
No, I don't think
together?
so.
That's
Mm-mm.
that game is amazing.
It is.
The story has so many really compelling parts of it. The world, there's like this. I don't know. I really don't even know where to begin. But the start of it, like you play as this character who's like a fucking like basically the equivalent of like a famous soccer player.
Yeah.
And it's like all hedonistic, and then it drastically compares that with this like village of people who are like basically Puritans, and then Then there's the whole issue of racism that they try to introduce with the like the Al-Bhed, and then
Yeah.
there's also the conflict between science and religion, between the Machina
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
the faith, and then there's the corruption of the church, and the how people will blindly lead the church, and then how the church can exhibit power, and then the like the best theme of all to me was the how they how they add the theme of like how fiction can affect your reality through the main character being a dream. But they don't even really
Well,
go into super detail about what that even means. Were you gonna say something? Were you gonna interject?
yeah, but what do you mean by that exactly?
Okay, so there's this like when I was playing the game, I had
Mm.
this really like melancholy, like bittersweet feeling when you find out Titus is a dream, because it's like, what the fuck? He's not even real. Like,
Oh yeah.
he's not even
Yes. When
real. You know, he's literally a dream. He's not even an actual person who. He's just part of this fantasy. Unlike the and I know I always liked the medieval fantasy world where there's all this magic, and like I like that way better than the fucking Titus's world and Xanarkand. To me, it was always cooler to be in the other Xanark or the other whatever. I forgot the world's name in that game, but
Spira.
Spira, yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the game, um, Titus literally disappears, and then seconds later, it's like the fucking credits. So the game is like teaching you this lesson that the thing is like Titus affected everyone in that he knew, even though he wasn't real. He affected the story, and he affected everyone based on but in the end, he didn't really do anything. He just was there for like a moral support and like a cheerleader. You know, he had no definitive action that actually was allowed Yuna to complete her quest and everything.
Oh, I
So
get what you're saying. He's not like a. He didn't actually defeat Sin himself or like play
right,
a really key role.
but
Like
that's
that's kind of
exactly.
interesting.
Let me just finish with that's exactly what the game itself is to you as a person in reality. The second that the game rolls the credits, it disappears. It was a fantasy. You leave that fantasy world, but the game teaches you a lesson through Titus and these dreams, these dream people, that just because they can disappear from your reality doesn't make their impact any less real.
Oh, that's a pretty interesting take, man. I never really thought about it like that at all.
Yeah, I could write a fucking dissertation about Final Fantasy X. I got so into it.
Um, what I was what I was gonna say was I think it's okay. You played 10, but you never played 7, right? Like the original 7.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So I think one thing that 10 did do especially well over 7 is that it was able to have a lot of themes running in the background, but they all came together. In 7, they fell apart. You know what I mean?
Um,
It collapsed under its own weight. But I don't know how they did it in 10, where everything sort of was connected to each other.
yeah,
Everything
dude.
from like the religious undertones to um, you
The
know.
different villains. You know, there was Seymour, and then that was like the villain of like. It was like there was all these different villains in Tekken, in Tekken, in Final Fantasy X, between Seymour and the fucking the Faith themselves, being these like how they eventually you find out they kind of betrayed you, and then also
Oh,
Sin.
you, you know, this thought just occurred to me. You know, also why I think Final Fantasy X's like characters were so great is because they were not like 2D evil characters, two-dimensional evil characters. Like every single one
Hmm.
of them, even the shittiest ones or whatever, the
Even
craziest ones,
the
had had
even
like their own
Sin,
intentions.
dude. Sin was this like supposed to be this force. I mean, the word itself describes it. Sin. It's literally just punishment. It. There's nothing. There's no extra dimensions to it, other than this is this unstoppable force that you just have to deal with because it's punishment. Um, but then you find out it was actually Jekt. Uh, it's actually Jekt who is Sin, and like there's this like tragic uh, story behind why Sin is there still.
Yes, yes.
And then yeah,
Exactly.
Seymour was like fucking
Seymour was not. He's actually a sympathetic character because
yeah.
I mean he's just super misguided or whatever, and kind of creepy, and that was on purpose. But all he wants to do is just to end suffering. That's his
Mhm.
main goal. Lady Unalesca, the crazy, the not the crazy, the that lady that you fight, the summoner. She was
Yeah.
like just trying to keep sin at bay and just kind of, and even like the religious leaders, all they wanted to do was just like keep everything under control and give people
Right.
hope.
There, it
Like,
was all about. It was again like commentary on the reality of religion, where it's like the more that they have to keep structuralizing religion and making like keep it structured, the more that humankind's own shortcomings will abuse that structure, will use it as a way of taking
yeah,
advantage
like
of people in a system.
yes, like your own personality flaws kind of like slip through the cracks, and you either become
Hmm.
very power hungry or like the worst of you kind of is enabled by those structures. I totally agree. And it was really awesome. Totally.
I mean, it's kind of weird, dude, because the characters themselves, I don't even think they needed to be that good, and they could have been better. But I mean, Waka was kind of goofy, but I don't know. To me, they were all cool. Like Kamari was really cool. Oren was cool. Lulu was cool. I mean, Lulu, dude. How many Final Fantasy games have a female character like Lulu? They're always like. Have you played Final Fantasy VII Remake, right?
Yeah.
To me,
Hmm.
Um, Jesse, Tifa, and Aerith might as well all have the same personality.
You think so?
I totally think so, dude. Of
I
course, there
think
are
so. I
some differences, but they all have these like cutesy, quirky mannerisms and vocalizations that they share between all of them. Just because, like, I guess they want you to have a boner while playing if you're a fucking faggot or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
something for
I would
Everett. They're appealing to the Everetts of the world.
I would definitely agree with you with the Jesse and the Aerith bit. I think Tifa. Uh, yeah, they do
She,
have some similarities. I think Tifa's a little bit more like a motherly kind of figure,
she
more of a
is,
protective force.
she is, but yeah, she still has that fucking. She still points at her face when she's talking. Lulu never did that shit. Riku might have done that shit, but Riku was like the worst character by far. She was the worst
I,
character as far as personality, but her story was still really good. I
her
just
story
didn't
was
like
cool,
her
and
personality.
me neither. Riku was not my favorite by any stretch of by any means.
In fact, I almost
Um,
forgot about her. I just realized that like I was thinking it was only Yuna and Lulu, and then I realized, oh yeah, there was Riku as well.
but Akira and Lulu both have their separate charm for sure. Um, I talked about Seven Remake. There was some stuff I wanted to say. I do not like Eric's personality at all, and like one of the things that really kind of takes it out of me is like when you're doing battles and like fucking Cloud is getting bodied by some monster, Barrett's getting his other arm ripped off, and then you switch over to her and she's like coming, or uh, it's so like
Everything she
goes against
says
the tone of
is
it.
like totally haphazard, and everything's like a whimsy for her. She's not.
Yes,
Yeah, she's very fucking fickle, and it's just yeah. It doesn't. To me, it's. I don't know. I figured she would be more passionate about something, but it's like, why are you even here? I don't like how she just went along with everything when Cloud
Yes.
was there too. It's like, why don't you react to what's happening? Like, this guy just fell through the fucking roof of the church. Can you act like this isn't just like another
Adventure,
fucking
a whimsy
like you're
adventure.
not, this is not like a new improv skit you just started and you're just totally rolling with it? What's fucking going on here? Yeah.
That was super exemplified by when they're like on the ghost train yard. It's like, oh, hello, little ghost. Or like 2 seconds before that, they were trying to murder everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's at least Tifa's reactions were more believable, especially when the plate collapsed. How like she was just clenched her fists, and you could just tell that she was really, really angry. Like that was great response. You know.
Dude, the Jesse death
Um,
scene was great. Barrett, when he is pissed off and he thinks that like the kid died, and he's just smashing his hand against the boulder or against that like piece of rubble. That was like, I don't understand how that game had so many like scenes that seemed well directed, and then these other scenes that just seemed like it was fucking, I'm watching aliens try to speak our language for the first time.
do you think maybe it was they had different scene directors? I mean, that's got to be it.
That
Because the
or like
fucking
uh miss unbalanced like a really unbalanced translation team. I don't know, but yeah, the it's like they did such a good job in making it look so realistic and shit. But then when the second a character opens their mouth, it's like, can it I want it to go back to being text that I have to read.
yeah, yeah. Some of the fucking dialogue did not translate well, especially with some of the voice acting.
I did not get it. It was like, this is not real. This isn't even real for anime standards. It felt so fucking weird, dude. Um,
That
yeah.
I don't know. That game, I wasn't 100% looking forward to it, but then when I played the demo, I was like, oh man, this is really good. And then I played the actual game, and it's kind of heartbreaking when you have like mixed feelings about a product that you're that
I am.
Resident Evil 2 Remake was just fucking amazing. And then Resident Evil 3, that shit sucked. It was really bad.
Yeah, I don't know how they
You know?
messed up 3 when they did 2, like, perfectly.
It just felt so rushed.
But I bought 2 and I didn't buy 3. I still want to go back and play it, but I just got stuck on the part with Mr. X. Well, not stuck,
Yeah,
but I was just like, wanted to not have to be rushed. Yeah,
but anyway, I think we got off track.
for sure. Have you listened to Karma? You know Karma from Tekken 6, right? I
Is that
think
the
that's,
fountain?
yeah. I put that for
Yeah.
Mishima building, because it's like got a lot of lights and shit. Although I think it'd be good for Arena. For Arena, I have Silent Assassin. That's, I think, Nina's theme from Tekken 2.
Silent Assassin. Let me look at that one. Oh yeah. Let me see. Oh, you know which one I used to have the original Dragon's Nest for Dragon's Nest.
For Dragon's Nest, I have, the Solitary Warrior. I have
For both of them?
Wait, do I? Oh no, that's something I never changed. Hold on, let me go. Nest. I have martial laws theme from Tekken 2 as Dragon Nest's first stage, and then for the final stage I have Dragon Nest from Tekken 5.
Nice.
From Tekken 6. Good.
What do I think from Tekken 6 is good? Is that what you asked?
No, Yuki. That's the name of the song. Y-U-K-I.
Oh, that one is very Yoshimitsu for me. You know, I don't know why I associate it with that character. Him and Lei.
It's kind of got like a zither sound to it.
Zither? Is that an instrument?
That's Chinese. The Chinese like harp you play on when it on the ground. It's like dong 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 dong. Yeah.
Yeah. Were they plucking it right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a piano. I love Arisa. I think Arisa's amazing.
I definitely have Arisa somewhere. Oh yeah, I have that for Brimstone and Fire.
That's a good choice for Brimstone and Fire.
And then for the final Brimstone and Fire, I have Death Fight on the Neon by Tekken 6.
Oh, I have that one for Machine Building. That one is.
See, you were like, I don't know if I like Tekken 6, but you seem to like all the same music that I like from Tekken 6.
No, you didn't give me a chance to correct myself, because when you said Tekken 6, I was thinking about Tekken Tag 2. Tekken Tag 2 I did not like very much.
I pretty much only like that Snow Castle song or whatever.
Yeah. No, Tekken 6 had some good music, for sure. Death Fight on the Neon. Oh, there's this one that's not here, dude, but it's the arcade opening of Tekken 6. Look it up on your phone. It has like the coolest. Oh, it's so heavy, and I don't mean like heavy as in like chugga guitars. I'm just saying like tonally and thematically, it feels very severe. I'll have to send it to you on Facebook, but it's really good.
Yeah, send it to me if you can. I'll listen to it now.
Let me look for it real quick. Hold on.
And then I'll tell you this other one I like. Do you know Tiamat from Tekken 5?
Tiamat.
Tekken 5 had a lot of really cool like electronic shit.
Oh, Tiamat is beautiful. I love that one. It's like so did you ever play Brave Fencer Musashi for PS1?
No.
It has that kind of tone to it. I love it. Hold on. Let me look for this one because it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, Tiamat, I like it because it doesn't. It's just it's mellow.
Okay, so I'm sending the thing to your Facebook Facebook message, so you can check it out. Oh, my absolute favorite song from Tekken 5, and I don't know why they don't have it here, is Ground Funk Zero.
Oh, dude, what do you have for the online mode? The lights, or I just said mine, but online mode, like the online mode menu. Did you change that?
No, I left it the same.
Dude, I have lights from Tekken 4. Listen to that and tell me that's not like the perfect song to have for like online menu music. Lights by Tekken 4. It totally sounds like menu music for like trying to connect.
Actually, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And for customization, I have Midnight Closet from Tekken 7. The best fucking customization music. Which was a Tekken Tag 2 song that for some reason is under the Tekken 7 music library. For some reason they put it in Tekken 7. I don't know why. But they can't take credit for that shit. That was one of the best songs that Tekken 2 had. Midnight Closet from Tekken 7.
Are you sure? I could have sworn I don't know, maybe you're right.
Dude, I played so much Tekken Tag 2. like spent so
Yeah,
much
no,
time in the
I think
fucking
you're
yeah.
right. It is. That's weird. Did you listen to the song that I sent you?
Yeah, I listen to it right now. Um,
Just keep listening to it.
is it that just because I've seen this intro a million times? I wish we could play some of those older Tekken games.
My favorite all-time Tekken tune is Ground Funk Zero from Tekken 5, though, for sure. And there's a portion in that song where it sounds like an opera lady is singing, but I'm pretty sure it's just a theremin.
Oh, you know, I was wrong, dude. Midnight. The song I'm thinking about for the customization was Your Sunset in Tekken Tag 2. Your Sunset. That's what I have for the warm up space in ranked, and you know that warm up space while you wait for a match. I have Your Sunset from Tekken Tag 2.
Your Sunset. Let me see if I can find it.
Really relaxing. I can listen to it for hours without it like getting annoyed.
That was the customization, right?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh man.
You
Oh,
know
you know
what
what?
though?
Actually,
It's almost a shame. It's actually a really good song, and the name Your Sunset really fits it. If that was a song that played on an actual stage, it would have been a lot like it would have had a better feel to it, if that makes sense.
mm. You know what? There is one song from Tekken Tag 2 that I absolutely love. It's the Plucking Tulips.
Yeah, I liked that one. Although that one kind of got wore on me. It kind of got more bland the more I listened to it.
I like the. I just love it. I love the simplicity
But
of
that
it.
was I did like that map. Like just the aesthetics of that map. Man, I wouldn't even care. They should just remake. They should just redo all the maps. How much more would that make this game just feel way more fresh?
If they redid all the
Imagine,
maps.
yeah, imagine they just kept all the maps in the game, or even whatever would be like reasonable, but just redesigned them. I guess maybe, yeah, I guess it would be a lot of work now that I think about it. It's probably most of the work now that I think about it that they have to do as far as actually programming new assets and shit into the game. The stages are like, it's like everything other, it's the characters and the stages, that's all that's there. So as far as when the game's running, but I don't know, dude. You just get sick of the same old stages.
You do. I'm still not really that sick of Tekken 7. Tekken 7 has not worn me out yet. I'm not sure if it's because of all the DLC, but I seem to like Tekken 6, I was just ready for that shit to end when I heard Tag 2. And then Tag 2, I played that for a while, and then once 7 came back, I have no nostalgia, no emotional attachment for Tag 2, but for some reason Tekken 6 has a better memory for me.
I have
Um,
some attachment to both of them. Tekken 6 is where I really like fell in love with the game, I suppose you could say. Just it's where, I mean, I always liked Tekken, but it's the game where I actually started to like the game itself so much rather than just like the characters and the story. I actually started to
like
like
learn how to play.
the to go into the move lists of every character and go one by one to look at the moves. And yeah, and
That's
I
actually
was
the same thing for me.
that's cool. Yeah, I never was good in Tekken 6. Like, I don't even think I would say I got to the skill of like Brawler in Tekken
Mhm.
6 if I had to equate it to something. But I was hooked for sure by Tekken 6. And then Tag 2 is where I actually started to get pretty damn good. Um, and then Tekken 7 is like fucking skyrocketed. I think it definitely helped me that Lei and Zafina weren't in the game. I already did play a bunch of different characters, but it really forced me to pick a different kind of character. It forced me to pick even more characters and also just get good at them rather than in Tag 2 where I could just, like, if I wanted to win, I'd just pick my Lei Zafina team. And if I wanted to, like, play around and have a challenge, I'd pick these other characters, but I would never really dedicate myself to them. In Tekken 7, I actually ended up dedicating myself to Steve, which was a
What?
go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just have a question. What is it about? What makes you want to pick a character? Is it their aesthetics, their play, the way that they fight? Is it just purely based on strategy? Like, how do you choose your character?
It has to have a large potential for creativity. The character, you have to be able to be creative with them for it to be fun. For me, a character like Fakuram, a character
Mm-hmm.
like Kazumi, a character like Jin. Although you can be somewhat creative with Jin now because he's got so many new stances and cancels and shit, but he's still pretty straightforward. And to me, that's what made me like Lei so much was the stances. And it's not specifically that a character needs stances, but that seems to be the easiest way for a character to allow you to be more creative.
Gotcha. But do you care at all what they look like?
Yes, for sure. Like Elisa, I hate the way she looks. So I don't. That's why I don't like playing her as much as I like Zafina and Lei, because Zafina and Lei have creativity like Elisa, but they actually have cool designs too. Whereas Elisa, she has like the fly-in stance, she has the chainsaw stance, she has the like backup stance where she like ducks down low, and there's all these different creative things you can do with all that. But I'm playing as a fucking robot girl with pink hair who's totally fucking anime and like one of the first objectively anime characters that were in Tekken, where Tekken started to really diverge into a game that was not fully anime into a game like, dude, the most anime character before Elisa and Lars was fucking Jin.
Yeah.
And that
Yep.
Jin, he seems like a fucking Boy Scout compared to these anime characters they have in the game now, like fucking Claudio, Lucky Chloe, Elisa.
Yeah. I actually really like Lars and Elisa's design in Tekken 6 because I thought their color palettes were so different. And I even thought Bob, even though I never really played him, I just thought all the new characters that were introduced in Tekken 6 were so unique and kind of really cool. Um, Past that, like, Elisa's costume in Tekken 7, I think, looks kind of shitty. It just looks really weird, like robot girl. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of just it's not palatable. Lars's costume also looks kind of bad. Um, but the, when they introduce new elements, I usually tend to be pretty optimistic about them. And it's not until the game is over that I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of bad. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. I should probably be a little bit more critical, but um, I don't know. I kind of just it's just you get so caught up by having something new that it takes a little while for me anyway, before I'm like actually critical of it and kind of dismissive, or just critical of it simply, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't. That's what I was gonna say.
Um, fuck, I lost my train of thought listening to you. What were we, what were we just talking about?
We're talking about why do you pick your characters? You
No,
know.
something we got. Oh, okay. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. People complained about Tekken 6 because of how out there the characters became, whereas the characters were pretty traditional, you could say, in all the
Mhm.
previous games. Whereas they might have a theme, but it was like the theme was based mostly on like a specific fighting style and not much more. Um,
Yeah.
but dude, Tekken 7, like
Lucky
Bob,
Chloe.
I know, dude, Bob, Zafina, Elisa, Leo, fucking, that's like, all of those characters have a ton of character to them. Whereas you go to fucking Tekken 6, or sorry, Tekken 7, Claudio,
Yeah, Claudia is so fucking bland, and so is Gigas.
Shaheen, dude, Shaheen.
Shaheen, Shaheen's spirit animal is the color beige, dude.
I
Seriously,
know, dude.
that guy
Lucky,
has no
fucking
character.
Katarina, so lame. There's no personality. She's just like sassy tits, lady, and that's it. I have zero. I have. I don't understand anything about Katarina, and you know what? I don't think there's anything to understand. Is there any story to her?
No, I don't think
What's her
so.
fucking story? She gets shot and Giga saves her or some shit on a rooftop. What's she doing there? Why does who, God, I hope I can't. I hope she gets deleted from the game. I hope Lucky Chloe gets deleted from the game. Just such fucking lame additions.
Yeah, Tekken 7 Kazumi though, I think is the only one that's actually has an amazing
Yeah,
design.
but she
I
was
love her
already
design.
in the game. She was already part of the game's. If you think about it, it feels like they only added like, dude, what? I don't do. The only character I even slightly enjoyed was Gigas, and it's just because in season one you actually could be really creative with him. You can't anymore because they like ruined his stance. But um, his design is bland too. He just was like an
Um,
somewhat interesting character.
I thought honestly, I was kind of really hoping that he was Marduk, and they got a hold of him and they fucked him up and just did all kinds of horrible experiments on him.
And that everyone
Like
thought that, and that would have been way cooler.
that would have been.
And then he could have
Um,
had a transition in the next game where he's like half, like he rips off the tubes and he's like coming out of it or whatever. But no, Gigas has just as much story as Katarina. It's like, who gives a shit? Just go away. I don't even want Gigas anymore. Gigas was like pretty much my main at one point in Tekken 7. And then once they ruined, I didn't never liked his design. All I could do was change his outfits to make him look like a completely different character, and then he became cool to me. But um, now that they changed the way his stance works, and the way you don't even get frame advantage off of down back 3 and key lows, there's only one low now he can do to get frame advantage, and they changed all the stuff about him that I liked, and then just added shit to make like certain things easier and for him to have combos where he didn't have combos before, which like I never wanted them to change that. But yeah, now I don't like him at all, design wise or gameplay wise. So they just, that's one of the rare cases in Tekken where they've actually managed to take away something from a character that so much so that I no longer like the character.
I getcha.
Like imagine that. That's like, you know, it's an exaggeration, but it's like you buy a product and then after you buy the product it morphs into something that you didn't approve of and you don't like it anymore. Luckily the game is not just Gigas, but you know, it's like that's an example of a way to think about that where it's like, why should they be allowed to do that?
Do you miss the days when fighting games were broken a little bit, like Tekken 4, Jin Laser Scraper, that sort of thing? Or are you happy about patches?
I don't know, dude. I was like way too young to even know how to play the games that well at that point. So
No,
do you mean just thinking about it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you did say, did you miss? So I was thrown off there, but
Oh.
would I? Do you mean like would I find that like actually charming now?
Yes.
I don't know, dude. It's hard. I want to say yes, but I don't know because I've never had to like deal with it really, other than like Eddie, his back 1-4 sequence in tag 2, and you know all his other bullshit.
Of the commentary when I was fighting that Yakuza, it's like back then Eddie would have beat. Oh, what did you say? It's like back then Jin would have eaten that because of bullshit Eddie's things, but luckily that doesn't work. Fuck you, Eddie, and then he just continued.
Thank you.
You know, man. I know why they did what they did with the Tekkens after 4, where they just streamlined the stages, made them all flat surfaced, and you know, like Tekken 7 is a very balanced game. You know, I think it is. There's definitely some bullshit, but overall it's pretty balanced, and the stages are made in such a way that you know you don't get like weird wall angles usually. You know, with the exception of like Brimstone or whatever. But that kind of kills the game for me a little bit. You know, I really do wish we had like uneven terrains. I really wish they would try something new and bold. I really wish they would go to like a more serious tone that make everybody, including Heihachi, a joke character. You know?
In my opinion, for Tekken 7, and I think this adds to what you're saying, it feels like in the end there's like 3 stages. Forgotten Realm, the Infinite stages, and then all the other stages. I feel like those are just the 3 stages, and there's nothing really going on other than that. It would be cool, like, when you are on Forgotten Realm, it really is like, okay, this changes things. Like, this is actually going to affect, like, oh shit, how am I going to go about this, you know? Things are different on this stage. That's how it was in Tekken 4.
Oh, yeah, because like... Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
I don't know if I shared this, but imagine a stage where you're in an office building and you can crash through the floor and then you fall into a hallway where you can't sidestep.
Yes, dude, I've had kind of... That would be awesome.
Yeah,
I was hoping that that would have been a thing in Tekken, and I wanted that, like a hallway stage, ever since I saw the intro to Tekken 4, and Kazuya was botting those Tekken 4's people. I'm like, wouldn't that be cool if there was like, you know, like a narrow hallway or like glass panes and stuff. just really mix it up. Oh,
Yeah, like
that would be really, really
you
good.
start in the middle of like a bunch of cubicles, and you're fucking up all the cubicles, and then like something happens and like something heavy falls or something that breaks through the floor or whatever. You go to the floor below, and you are in a hallway, and like it's super fucking cramped. You actually can't sidestep like that. There's not even an animation for sidestepping, and the only way to get out of that cramped hallway is to break the floor again.
That would be pretty cool. That would be actually pretty awesome. Yeah, because you imagine that would change the meta of the game so much.
Yeah, it's like a different tier list on that in that hallway. No sidestepping. Laser scraper, fucking all kinds of shit would be super cheap.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go take a shit real quick.
All right, man.
Be right
Sounds
back.
good. So.
Tekken music isn't that good lol.
Except 37. Except 37. Hello? Hello? Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I will hold on. Tekken music isn't that good, lol. Oh, Oliwea Houston? Get the fuck out of here. We've got a hater in the comment section. If you have to, you've out of your fucking gourd, dude. If you end a sentence with LOL, there's a big insecurity that's shining through there. If you end a sentence with LOL, it's like you are trying to add applause to the end of your comment. It's like, that's not how it works. You don't get to LOL your own shit. That's not for you to LOL. That's for other people to LOL. Okay? So if that's not the purpose of it, then let's see how it is. Tekken music isn't that good. If they just posted that with no LOL, that would be more of a statement, but they were too insecure to they had to put the LOL at the end. Oliwea, get fucking roasted. Exactly. They're a bunch of Aeriths. They're a bunch of Aeriths, dude. I'm just constantly aloof and nothing. It's all frivolous to me. Well, you know, lol. No. Fucking have some conviction. Tekken music isn't that good because nothing is that good to you because you're not willing to commit yourself to anything. Wait, is that a girl, Oliwea Houston? Cause I will simp for her if there's still a chance. I take it all back, baby. We're non-toxic, and honestly, it was all a joke. And you're a queen, and you're right about Tekken music. It's not that good. And also, LOL, I think you just put that in the end because you know how funny that was for you to say that, and I agree, lol. Oh, shit. I think I just got a girlfriend. I want to actually click on their account. I'm curious. I'm curious to see. Actually, click on what kind of actual female would be even clicking on a stream that's just going to be talking about Tekken music. It's got to be a pretty fucking nerdy chick. Probably has like a dick or something. Well, I guess I can't go to their channel from the stream, so I'm just gonna block them. That's the only interaction I'm allowed, apparently. Sorry, Oliwa, but you ain't getting any piece of this. I'm gonna put them in timeout. Wait, can I? Put user in timeout. Oh, I thought I could specify a time. Okay. King stage from Tekken 2.
That one was pretty good. Wait, hold on. That one, for some reason, reminds me of like a late 80s, early 90s action thriller.
For sure, dude. Like, some shit like, what was it called with, Arnold Schwarzenegger and...
Oh, exactly. I was gonna say Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Or even the Die Hard. I don't know. Something like that.
What was that? I can't believe I can't remember this movie. With, oh god, why am I so bad at remembering shit? There was like a female lead and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was about like time travel.
Time travel?
Or no,
You're not
it was about
Terminator, are you?
No, for sure not. God, Total Recall.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
what
thought
it
you might have
reminds
been
me of.
talking about that, but that's
Not time travel, but like,
travel.
was it? Yeah, it was. It was either about time travel or cryogenically freezing people.
No, it was like a. I don't remember. I think it was a simulation sort of thing, actually.
Yeah.
And he was like brainwashed to. Yeah, it turns out he was evil the whole time. He was brainwashed the blueprints or whatever. That movie, when I first saw it, that fucking scarred me because I was a very little kid, and then when their eyeballs are just bulging out of their skulls,
Yeah.
that fucking seems so creepy. I don't know when you watched it, but that shit freaked me out.
No, I didn't watch it when it came out. But, Scanners.
Scanners is pretty gross.
That fucking scene.
Where his
Yeah,
head
I saw that
explodes?
one. Yeah, I saw that. When I saw that on TV when I was like still in middle school, I thought that was really cool. But by the time you're in middle school, you're like already a thrill seeker as a boy.
Most boys were, but I wasn't. I actually, I remember that my sister had this picture, she was like, it was for like a criminal justice course or something like that. I don't remember, but it was a very graphic book about like several people that were like mutilated before they were killed or whatever. And then, you know, when I was like very, very small, I knew to some degree what I was looking at, and it didn't really bother me. But because I kind of, you know, my mom got really upset that I was watching that shit, and I kind of went a long period without looking at any sort of gore. It's like I became like sensitive to it, so I couldn't even watch even like horror movies and stuff.
That's interesting.
You know? Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I've always just wanted to seek out the most fucked up shit and the most like if something's fucked up or depressing or weird, it's like or even like, for example, ever since I was a kid, this has kind of been a theme now that I think about it, but when it came to religion, dude, I was like, if this really does mean, like, this is your salvation, like, this is the only way, and this is, like, literally what we're here for, then I figured, like, you should be obsessed with it, like, should it not be everything that you live your life around? If it actually is what's, like, you know, your salvation for, and the whole purpose of you being on Earth in a world where there's no clear purpose. Here's this thing telling you that this is the purpose. So when I was younger, my family was religious, and I, like, in high school, well, I at first I like completely was like, fuck it, I'm atheist, because I was like, I don't see it helping me. But then later on, I was like, well, I should at least try it because I've seen it work for other people, and then I like got really into it, and then fucking uh like didn't I felt like I got nothing from it, even no matter how committed I was to it, and then I just completely abandoned it. But to get on with well, were you ever religious? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I still am. Not as much as I used to be though,
Oh,
because
okay.
I used to. So, I religious means that like it's I kind of like just use like Neil deGrasse's Tyson religion. I mean, definition is like if you have some sort of belief
Belief
in the
system.
supernatural. Yeah,
Yeah.
then that's by even if you're not ritualistic, and I'm not ritualistic. Ritualistic is like attending
Right.
mass and
Right.
doing all that stuff, which I'm not. But I think the older and older I'm getting, I'm seeing that like uh, it's it's more about taking like practical use from it for me. So like if these things help improve my life, that's great. But I know that I am incapable cognitively of ever really finding out if any of this stuff is true. And part of my old religion was based a lot on proselytizing, which I super felt very uncomfortable with
For
because
sure. Yeah.
I wasn't even like sure of
Were
it
you
myself.
Catholic?
No,
Oh.
I was not. I believe it or not, I was actually a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
Yeah, the people. Yeah,
So
and
that's
now
the
it's
most
probably making more.
proselytizing religion there is.
Yes, exactly. And so it was all about like like going door to door, which I never really felt comfortable with because I'm like I'm not super sure about this stuff, and it seems a little bit kind of um, bold or whatever. And when I left that and I kind of started to more or less go my own path, I started to see that morality um, has little to do with religion, if any. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could totally be a good person regardless of um, what your moral stances or whatever, assuming
Right.
that they're
Not having an
um,
actual text or belief system
yeah,
that
yeah, exactly.
actually tells you. Yeah. For
Um,
me, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, just to wrap it up, uh, it's it definitely it kind of turns certain phenomenon that happen to you in life, and you are able to personify them in a way that you could deal with them. And the thing is that you can't be too clinical about it because it kind of loses its emotion behind it. And so I constantly have like those two parts of my brain kind of going against each other, right? Like there's kind of like the part of me that thinks this is probably all nonsense, and I would have so much less struggle mentally if I just kind of accepted that nothing is, that there's really that everything is kind of purposeless. But then there's another part of me, I think that's stronger, that's probably guided more by emotion or whatever, that tries to see like the beauty and the metaphors of these sort of religious symbols, if that makes any sense. And so those two things are constantly keeping me in check, so to speak.
Right.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think the world itself is supernatural. The fact that anything is there rather than nothing. Um, but but here to go to add on to what I was saying earlier. Um, like I've always either been 0 or 100 when it comes to like when it comes to shit like religion or the supernatural, because and even when it came to like stuff that was fucked up or that you weren't supposed to, like stuff that was taboo, I wanted to like for sure get to the bottom of it. Like I didn't want to just be like, oh, that's you're not supposed to know about that shit, or you're not supposed to see gore and that kind of shit. Well, I want to see like the worst of the worst, or like it can fuck you up to like or this movie's really sad. I want to find a movie that's even sadder, But whenever I was in a room where it was like dark, like whenever I would be afraid as a kid, I would actually like go to the darkest corner of that room and see if I could see something. Like if I ever felt a weird like goosebumps on my arms or some shit, I would like stay there for like way longer than anyone else would, because I was like, I was actually.
Oh shit! You kind of hold on.
My controller
You're...
came out. My mic came out.
Oh, okay.
But
Sorry,
I would actually,
saying...
I would actually like. I was really desperate to see something supernatural, because I figured like, if there is actually something supernatural there for me to experience, that's that's not something you can recreate in in your world, you know. If it's something supernatural, that's something that's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I always wanted to like pursue even like seeing ghosts and shit, but I've never had a situation where I actually could attribute anything happening to something I couldn't like explain otherwise. Have you have any supernatural experiences?
When I was a little kid, I thought it was because I think what was happening was that I was priming myself to see them, and then I interpreted it as it being something supernatural, when in reality it probably wasn't. But I do have this very distinct memory, and it's not even a big thing. I mean, if I tell you, you're gonna be like, that's nothing. But I was just a little kid, and I remember the windows being completely closed. So there was like no like chances of draft, and I think the air conditioning was also off. But I do remember like that day I was thinking a lot about ghosts and stuff and how freaky that would have been, and I must have been in the 6th grade or something like that. And then I saw I had a trash bag with like plastic lining, you know, or like a plastic bag inside of it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of started moving on its own. But before I could even like just kind of assess the situation, go over and kind of think like, where's this coming from? Because I was already thinking about supernatural stuff. I was like, oh shit, ghost. And then I walked away. When in reality, maybe a window was open. Maybe it was a draft. You know what I mean? But outside of that, no, not really.
Yeah.
And
Bummer. Some people have had shit where it's like they have total conviction that it was real, or like they have really in-depth supernatural stories. Those are the ones that get me, like, I actually get jealous of like that shit. One of my best friends swear he saw like there was like some kind of monster going around the town where he lived. It was like a joke. And then one night he was in a car with his mom, and like something huge and furry with like very slender legs jumped on the top of their car and fucking like then just like ran off into traffic.
oh shit.
Yeah, and like I swear, and he also said he saw a fucking ghost like come out of his dresser, like the head of a woman come out of his dresser while he was in his bed. That's the kind of shit that's like fucking terrifying, but I don't know, there's something about that excites me, like just so fucking creepy. It's be like, I don't know, I guess it's just the fact that it's interesting and you feel something in a moment like that, even if it's like fucking you're freaked out. Yeah. I've got nothing.
When it comes to those kinds of things, okay, so I'm gonna describe you my experience so that maybe you have like a reference point and it might be easier for you to give me an answer. But violence and gore, I usually tend to, I can't look at it, right? Like that's my initial thing for it, because it seems so horrible that it's like it all of a sudden enters and it doesn't seem real. Like it seems like it almost even seems absurd. Absurd to the point where it's like almost comical. You know what I mean? Like that the laws of the universe, you know, not really, but you know, what my understanding of what these laws are can be bent so much that it becomes surreal and kind of comical. Not in a good way, not in a haha funny way, just in a really fucked up way.
Right.
So I have a complete like aversion to it, but simultaneously some things I do kind of have like like a deep curiosity. Like there's this movie called Irreversible. That's like NC-17 for like sex and stuff, where some guy gets his face beaded in continuously until it's just a bloody pulp by like a fire hydrant, and it's CGI, it's not real. Um, but I went onto the YouTube video. I kind of did it by chunks so I could see if I could handle it, and then after a while, I just kept rewatching that scene over and over and over again. Or if something horrible happens, I just keep rewatching that scene over and over and over again. I don't know where it comes from, but it's just I don't know if it's part fascination or if it's part for me to like actually see that this is real or to somehow understand it, or I don't know what it is, but it is kind of like that, you know, with horrible graphic things.
Yeah.
Why do you seek them out? Is it a thrill? Like, what is it for you?
I think it's. I've always felt like I've always felt like I was like an outsider. I'll put it in perspective this way. I was born homeless, and like both of my parents in turn lost custody. Like my fucking birth mom had like I saw, like, we were living in from motel to motel, and someone like one of I don't know, I'm not gonna speak on behalf of stuff I don't know. I was so young, but like it could have been that she was a prostitute, or that she just actually had more than one boyfriend. But you know, she was into drugs and everything, and had like violent boyfriends, and one of them actually broke down the door and was like slashing at her current boyfriend with a knife. Me and my sister were like hiding behind the bed. And then yeah, I've had all kinds of other fucking issues, like abusive issues and all kinds of other fucked up shit happened to me and my sister growing up. And then we went to school in like Yorba Linda, which is this really nice place in Orange County, where it was like mainly all white people, and everyone was like middle class, upper middle, high class kind of kids. It was public school, but they were, you know, it was like very, you know, it's like very typical fucking High School Musical kind of high school, where it's a bunch of fucking white hot blonde chicks, and just like and fucking growing up, it was just like none of these kids had to deal with like issues. They all had these fucking silver spoon in their mouth upraisings, while I actually had this perspective, and that, I feel like that gave me this complex where that, and me pretty much raising myself as far as morals and ethics and that kind of shit, which I couldn't, like, I did not get any of that from my dad, which was the one parent, you know, left there to actually like raise me. My stepmom was there, but she was like essentially torturing me and my sister. There's no fucking morals she was gonna pass on to us. And my dad he's just honestly kind of a fucking, you know, he's got his own issues, and he's not the brightest bulb. And yeah, so basically, I developed my personality, and everything about me developed way earlier than it does for most kids growing up, and because of that, I developed this complex of like, I felt like I shouldn't be able to really enjoy things, and I felt cooler than like I was too cool for everything, because I knew how fucked up the world really was, and none of these other kids growing up did, and that complex carried on for me for a while, and that, I feel like because of that complex, I was always drawn to trying to find the most fucked up shit that I could access, because that would reestablish the fact that I wasn't part of their peaches and cream, you know, wet blanket kind of world, where it's like, you know, everything's comfy and superficial, and I was drawn to like the fucked up shit. And to me, that's like was where, to me, none of the everything else was not real. Like if your house was, you know, if you had like a maid or like, you know, just like if your house looked clean, I wouldn't. It would be like, okay, so none of these people are even living real life. It's like if everything was put together in your life, it was like this is not reality, you know. So I was always drawn to fucked up shit. I remember I would go online and in high school and just look up, like, I would go onto websites like Best Gore and fucking there's this one, I think that might be it. It's this website. Live Leak is another good one. You can find like suicide videos and shit like that, or like. But Best Gore had like pictures of kids getting their heads shot off in Africa and shit like that. People getting like lit on fire and rolled down a hill in a tire and stuff like that. And it was just all like, you know, I essentially I was like, it was that complex, and then me basically being edgy. But I can't say, yeah, I can't say 100% whether it like scarred me or not. But definitely, I think it gave me a bit, like, I used to do that with substances too, like get really high and then look at that shit, and I think that kind of fucked me up a little bit.
Why? Why do you think
Just
that?
because it started to fuck with this, like, my whole association with drugs started as this thing that was like to help me escape and to help me like have fun. And then I started like trying to seek out more fucked up things when I would do drugs. So it was like, well, what am I doing? Just trying to torture myself? Yeah, so
I get what you're saying. Let me see if I understand this correctly. So, you looking at that kind of stuff reinforced that identity of yours, and it kind of became divorced from what was actually happening behind those images, behind those horrible images. It was just more about the fact that, like, hey, I'm aware of this, unlike you.
exactly.
And you looking at this sort of reinforces that.
Well, here's the thing. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
No, go ahead. I can say my part later.
Yeah, because I had saw a part of the world that no one else in my life had seen, I felt like I needed to know the stuff that even was more fucked up than my life had ever gotten, because I wanted to know what the world was in all of it. I wanted to know what the world was, for better or for worse. I wanted to know all of it. I didn't just want to know what was good, you know. I felt like it made me a less ignorant person to constantly be aware of the suffering in the world. Honestly, now I think that's one of the biggest ways I've changed, which is now I don't really like to dwell on negative shit, because I don't think it improves my life at all. And I think the only negative shit I should dwell on is the negativity that does affect my life. The negativity in, like, maybe the people directly in my life or myself, or things that are happening. Other than that, I should be aware of it, but there's no reason I should dwell on it. Whereas back then I thought like it was important to dwell on it, to really empathize with the fucked up shit that's happening, to like feel, I guess, more appreciative of the stuff in my life that isn't fucked up, but probably also just so I could feel better than everyone else who just was like superficially walking through life with blinders on. Yeah.
Yes, I kind of, when you put it like that, it makes perfect sense. Because, what was I gonna say? On some level, when you were looking at that stuff and when you were trying to, like, it feels kind of almost like it's like a snowball that kind of, you know, gains more snow and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Is that anything like that at all? Like, the more you know about it, the more you wanted to know about it, so it would kind of in turn make you more and more, I I guess, knowledgeable, and you kind of kept on seeking out that sort of experience to become more whole. Did it feel like that?
Yeah,
Or
for sure,
not
the
really?
to become more whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, what's the point of establishing myself if I'm not even exposed and aware of all the shit that goes on? You know, it's like the more, okay, so you have to establish yourself amongst the world and other people. There is no personality that you have that exists separate from the rest of the world. If you're on your own, then you don't even grow up to develop language. You don't even grow up to you're not even a person. You're a blank slate, essentially, because there's no reflection to actually see the shape of yourself. There's nothing coming back to you to actually offer
Like mold
resistance.
you.
Yeah, like to shape you, you know. So
Yeah. Like in a clay sense. Yes.
exactly, yeah. So yeah, I felt like I could have a shape without that shit in my life, but you know, why am I going to ignore these parts of the world if they're part of the world that I'm in? Is that not something I should also be aware of? So yeah, for sure, I tried to expose myself to as much as I could, and I was pretty open-minded for a high school student too. Like I that's why I got back into religion, especially, like, I'm really not a religious person, but
Mm-hmm.
I was like so open-minded about it that I was willing to go through the rituals and shit just to see if I could feel something from it. The whole time it was like I was being religious through the scientific method. It felt like that. That's what it felt like. Like I was actually trying to observe my like spirituality and see if I could measure my well-being or how I felt and what benefits I was getting from it, and but also trying to like really delve deep in it with vigor and everything, genuinely. I wasn't just doing it like superficially. I was doing it genuinely because I was like that open-minded.
Yeah. I believe it. I genuinely do believe that you were coming in from a genuine angle. But do you think that your clinical approach to it also kind of stifled it in a way?
Um, See, I even said that to cover that. Because I figured, you know, that would make it sound like I might have been too clinical. But I guess there's no way to tell that. But if there's not really any way to know for sure if like I was too clinical and that actually made me miss out of it. But I think if that is the case, then there's nothing I can. I'm not going to be able to separate that from me. That's always going to be the way I like think about things. I am so hyper analytical when it comes to stuff that is based on feeling. I like overthink it, and I don't really know how to not do that when it comes to that kind of shit. So plus I
I
feel
would
like,
say that I'm.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, continue. You want me to go ahead?
Well, I just feel like if there was some sort of omnipresent being, they would be able to be aware of the
Factor
fact that
you
I'm like
into
that.
the.
Exactly. Let me
Yeah,
experience
like
it through my own way.
Yeah,
It
I
would have,
wholeheartedly
yeah.
agree. I think in that way, I very much identify with that too.
But I'm not an
Um,
atheist. I'm agnostic. Like I'm open to be, have my, you know, be influenced to think otherwise about the world. But as far as it stands now, I'm just not sure of it because I have no proof as to like what our purpose is or anything.
okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's very interesting, man. Um, I don't think that you and I are totally dissimilar in certain ways, at least in the over analysis department. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
definitely. We've always gotten into pretty deep conversations. It's almost a shame that we have to meet through a game like Tekken, because that's the game that like totally detracts from your conversation.
Yeah, it kind of does.
But we end up having really good
feel
conversations.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have many people in my life that I could talk this way to.
Oh, that's a tragedy.
Yeah. It's like part of it came from okay, so I grew up pretty. I didn't grow up super religious, or I didn't grow up super ritualistic, but my parents from a very young age told me, about biblical stories and God and stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool, he's there, he's watching over me. I'm just kind of do my own thing. And it wasn't until more or less like high school where I started to become a little bit more indoctrinated into like the, into like the ways of the church or whatever, until I eventually left them. But some of like the, some of those things that I picked up there, for better or worse, were so, I internalized them so much that even those behaviors kind of, it became a part of me now, even though I don't necessarily believe in them 100%. Like, just to give you an example, it's like, maybe part of me is super nice because I always felt like I had to preserve a really, really good example. When in reality, I think sometimes I don't want to disagree with someone because I don't want to make them feel bad, which is not a good thing.
No.
It's
no.
not.
But it says something. It says something to the way that you're nice that you would even acknowledge that, because it's a big difference between being nice because you want to manage everyone's impression of you, which is like you're a piece of shit for being that way. It's like, just be yourself. But it's different if you want to be nice because you are worried about letting people down and disappointing them when like you genuinely disagree, or even more extreme, don't like something they said or something like that. That shows the kind of person you are.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I appreciate that, because there were like a lot of times when sometimes some of the religious leaders would tell me things like stay away from certain philosophies or whatever, and I'm just kind of nodding my head and smiling like, yeah, okay, but in my head I'm thinking that's kind of like intellectual suicide, because you kind of have to trust that you're a free-thinking agent to some degree. You can't really measure the strength of your moral code or system if you never really quite put it to the test. And
for sure,
the thing about that is that, like, I think I was also like really kind of into debating in my high school years, so I kind of wanted to cover all bases. I wanted to know both sides of the story so that I could form an argument. On some level, though, I always knew that that was a bit dishonest, because I'm not really seeking truth, I'm seeking to defend my position, if that makes any sense. And when I realized that, I was like, if I'm just seeking to defend my own position, then I'm not a truth sayer, and I'm not trying to enlighten people, and that feels very dishonest. So I should just be honest with myself. I do this probably because I'm genetically predisposed to it, or maybe it's because it's really ingrained, but I don't really think that makes a difference. I think what does make a difference is that you use these symbols, these things that you've learned, and try to fashion something productive out of it. Try to be a good person. It just so happens that I'm religious, but that's incidental. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's kind of the direction I'm trying to go, but it gets kind of hard when you don't have that conviction of a religious zealot or a hyper atheist, when you just feel that you're right, that you know that
dude.
You know what I mean?
That has just never been me. Like, yeah, I'm almost jealous of that, because that's, in a way, that's sort of ignorance is bliss, kind of. If you're that zealous, then you have blinders on that prevent you from doubting yourself and doubting, like, it's the whole Hamlet scenario where it's like, to be or not to be. You're so overwhelmed by the different opportunities you have for, and the consequences of believing in something or not believing in something, or being right or being wrong, that it prevents you from actually acting.
Yes, yes, exactly. You know how we both talk, and I kind of want to that point, I kind of want to bring up Jordan Peterson, because I know we had talked about him earlier, and he said something that I kind of really, he said, at some point you have to take a leap in somewhere, you know what I mean? You just have to take that leap.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think when you take that leap, it's scary, because you're defining yourself finally, and that could mean that you lose friendships, that you lose family, that your life fundamentally changes in ways because you're going down this path. But it also means that your life can potentially be richer, because other people might come into it, or other situations might come into it.
Well, you'll get more from life because you finally have, yeah, you're more enthralled with what you've done with it and less passive, yeah. For sure, that makes sense.
Which is why I'm gonna which is why I'm gonna become MGTOW. I'm just kidding. No. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I've just never found anything I even would begin to have that much passion for. That's kind of been like my crux weakness as like a person. I've always felt like, where it's like I have all this potential as a person, and just like it's always directed at having multi-layered opinions about Final Fantasy X rather than like enhancing some part of the natural. Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always been the thing. But the thing is, as well, is if you lose friends for pursuing a passion, then those friends only served, like, they were not friends for the whole thing. They were just like, there was some specific thing about that friendship that you served, and that's gone anyways. You know, that wasn't gonna last anyways.
Yeah. You know what, man? It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because that really makes me think about it. Like, imagine entering like a marriage agreement with somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this person is like full on to their ideology, whether it's political or religious or whatever. And you're kind of undecided, but you kind of go along. And that's actually very, very, that happens a lot more than you would think, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you start to form your own ideology, your own way, that's kind of catastrophic, I think. I mean, I don't know how big of a deal divorce is to you, coming from like that kind of background, you know, from your specific background, but that's kind of a big deal, especially when you have kids. And so I think the longer you wait to develop that thing, that way of being for you, especially if you want to bring other people into your life like that, it could be potentially worse. You know what I mean? Or I wonder, you know what I mean? Like, it feels that way. I could be totally wrong, but, you know.
From what I remember about divorce statistics, that it is a big factor, having two different religions. Like, everything else, like, the people who have similar, those are the kind of things that will always be an issue. Because the things that go down to your core are the things that you can't change. They will always be an issue in that relationship. And it's not a big deal if you're friends, but if you're co-opting in responsibilities for raising other human beings, then that shit will come up time and time again. For sure, it's an issue. If you're like significant other and you're trying to raise kids and you have different competing beliefs about stuff, about like how even minor things you might think are kind of minor, about like how serious drug use and alcohol uses and that kind of shit, it causes a lot of strife.
It does. No, it really does, man.
Just having different opinions.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, like, I'm kind of apolitical. You know, I'm sure that maybe you could map some of my tendencies to right, left, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But largely, I think any sort of extremism is kind of stupid. There are times when I want to lean a little bit more right, and there are times when I want to lean a little bit more left. But what are your, like, political leanings on the whole? Like, and I'm not, you don't even, it could just come from like a purely cultural place, you know, like the whole you know, like incels, whatever, you know, SJW, gender
Well,
pronouns, whatever.
yeah, I think that all men are pigs, and and yeah, I also at the same time think that the government should provide us girlfriends. But genuinely, the way I feel about it is I am pretty much the exact same. Not necessarily apolitical, but not. I only ever. I think political parties are stupid. I think it's like insane actually, because there's so many diverse issues. It's insane to have like even more than two categories go into two. And like if there's more than two categories of opinions to be had about anything, to just force those in between two different camps is insane. But because yeah, you can easily feel a different way about something, but if your candidate just doesn't represent that, then you can't wholeheartedly support them. But that's exactly what you do when you vote through a political party. But regardless of all that, I felt like the only things I've ever cared about politically were the things that actually would, again, directly influence my life. So there's never been a day of my life where I felt like who the president is and who my governor is and that kind of shit ever made a difference, other than maybe like weed being legalized and stuff with like student loans and shit like that. But yeah, and then I wanted Andrew Yang. I liked Andrew Yang a lot for this for 2020, just because he was the only candidate that actually had made plans for a universal basic income, which would affect my life. I would get an extra $1,000 every month, which would have like definitely improved my life. But yeah, other than that, no, I'm not political because for the most part, there's nothing about my life where like the issues they bring up, like immigration, all that shit, I don't find that it really pertains to me at all.
I get you. That's fair. For a while, I was kind of, I didn't really like the idea of not being able to say things that were a little bit controversial on Twitter, or whatever.
Censorship, like I'm against censorship for sure.
Yeah, censorship kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Almost to the point where I was like, I was never really political, but I figured that I was maybe somewhere leftist or something like that. You know, I was like, oh, you know, yeah. I mean, I generally, I see like the whole, fucking merits of, you know, like pro-immigration, whatever. But again, never really forming super strong opinions. But as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh my god, am I actually like more aligning myself with like people more like right-leaning because they're kind of like anti-censorship?
It's stupid like, though. Okay. Like, why can't you? Yeah. Why do we have to be split into these two camps already? It's just there's too many issues. It doesn't fit perfectly. I don't get it at all. It's insane.
No, it doesn't, and I'll tell you why, man. Because maybe like in the 90s or something like that, free speech was more liberal. You know what I mean? And then it kind of became like more, I guess, right-leaning. But the truth of the matter is,
the history of all issues. Like, I swear, dude, in my AP U.S. history class, I was so confused because the issues that Democrats and Republicans would be like fighting for and caring about flip-flopped every 10 years.
Yeah, it does. It's very bizarre. And so that kind of leaves you thinking, like, it's really hard to, if you're going to be the kind of person who identifies themselves based on, you know, your political party or whatever, that's going to be kind of confusing, especially as times change. And especially when the same issue can be looked at through different angles. And okay, sorry. So I'm gonna bring a little bit of like psych theory. Like I'm sure you've heard of like that Big Five personality test, right? Like with the openness and all that shit. I would imagine that like exchange of ideas and that sort of thing is more related to like openness or creativity or intellect or whatever, right? And generally speaking, it has been like left people are a little bit more higher like on that scale. And I don't mean to sound like Jonathan Haidt or like get to Jordan Peterson here, but it just kind of like loosely, you know, if you kind of think about it that way, it would seem that it's more like left side spectrum, but yet there's kind of like this fringe of people who don't necessarily agree with like left politics that are more for speech. So the point that I'm trying to get to you is that like a lot of like the amazing atheist people who used to be super leftist kind of became central or center because of that. You know what I mean? Just because the times changed. But it's difficult to characterize your personal preferences, your identity, and your personality based on the political stances you take because they do flip-flop so much, is what I'm trying to say.
For sure.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I mean, but like I said, largely I'm pretty, yeah, I'm not really that interested in politics, and yeah, I know. That's an ignoramus question.
My day is not gonna change. Like, it is fucking goofy as fuck that Trump is our president. And it's just like, America is a shit show as of late, dude. Oh my god, I can't believe Trump's our fucking president. It's so funny. I mean, I don't even know if it would have been better necessarily with Hillary Clinton. I just know that, like, it's insane that we even got to a point that Trump could be our president, let alone the fact that he is our president. The fact that, like, our political system, like, well, no, the people would elect somebody who's not, like, who's from TV and, like, is famous for firing people, or, like, fucking, it's a goofy show about, where, like, it's like a celebrity, competition show. Like, that guy is now our president. It really just shows, like, what a fucking shit show America is. That, like, those are our best candidates, or people with the best chance.
I'm just thinking, dude, that if we're going down that road, and we might as well, you know, put Joe Rogan up, because he's been a fear
dude,
factor.
I swear, dude, Joe Rogan, Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah Winfrey, they should be, at this point, it's, the American president is just American Idol. That's what it's become.
That's pretty fucking depressing.
It's crazy. But luckily there's no nuclear war so far, so, I mean, you know, look, if there's no nuclear war or any, like, World War III, then I'd say it all worked out. Dude, I almost feel like there must be some sort of, if there is something supernatural, it is like there's like a kill switch or like a safety feature that prevents, like, World War III from happening. Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like we had to have, we would have done it already.
I know. I know, dude.
Like, there's no way we've learned our lessons from World War II. All of a sudden, we just got to the point where if we go to war, the world, you know, everyone dies. Okay. So it's like they had to fucking put a stop to it.
Okay, so kind of to go off that, you know, considering like how easily we could completely obliterate ourselves and knowing our tendencies and the way that we behave and the way that we don't necessarily always act in solidarity. What do you think about, like, that Karen meme? You know, the Karen ladies of the world.
Well, like, what do you mean? What do I think? I'm not, like, offended by it.
No, like, in other words, like, do you have any, like, have you had any experience or sufficient experience with that kind of person in order for you to say like, oh yeah, I totally understand that meme. I think it's funny, or yeah, Jesus, I hate that kind of human being, and I'm glad that there's finally like some awareness of that. Like, do you have any of that, or have you
Oh
really
yeah,
not
for
had to deal
sure,
with it?
dude. Everyone knows Karens. It's like Karen is a type of person where it's like I am fascinated with people who their personality is so one-dimensional that they actually make more sense as characters than they actually do as people who go through um, life through their own perspective, just like I do. Like, Karens are people where it's like it's unfathomable to believe that they, after they do some Karen shit in your life, that they go home and they continue their Karen life and they're Karen for every fucking second of their life.
That's pretty grim. That's
Right?
pretty scathing.
It's crazy to think about that. Like when you see someone who's just like so, they'll just do something where it's like, that's not what a real person does. That's what a fucking character does. Like, or it's like some people can actually make themselves into characters. I think because for some people they're actually more confident, and when they're like a character or when they're constantly doing like really intense impression management around everybody and they have a certain way that they want to appear, and it's so fucking painfully obvious. Oh dude, oh my god, this is giving me PTSD for when I was in college.
Uh-huh.
I felt like everyone, like the tryhards in college who raise their hand and they have this way of speaking that is just so unnatural, and it's like that's
Oh,
not.
like they're weather forecasters or something in training.
Yeah, and
They,
it's like, dude, chill the fuck out. Like this is not a presentation. Just like I can't. It's like, but they'll say, or like they'll try to. Like I got a degree in English, so I took a lot of classes where someone would try to wax poetically and try to cram as much flowery language in their answers as humanly possible, and it just made them look like such fucking morons because it was painfully obvious that they were just trying to be someone they're not. And then I was like, I would in my head be like, so like everyone in the class, we're all just like painfully aware of what a fucking moron that guy made himself look, right? And then like three more people raise their hand and do the same thing, and then my mind, like I couldn't handle it, dude. I was like, this is not
and
real.
then you raise your hand. You're like, fuck that. I'm gonna trap you bitches with my flower language.
Yeah. What am I doing?
No, I get what you're saying. I have mixed feelings about that. Okay, because okay, you could tell me, you can give me your 2 cents on this and tell me if I'm off the mark, or you can relate to this or see this, or if I have any point. Because there's a possibility that I could be projecting and I'm sort of living in my own head, and my narrative has nothing to do with what's going on with reality. But here's what I think, man. So, guy number one comes in, and he starts using, yeah, Guy Fieri number one comes in, and he starts using all kinds of flowery language in a typical Guy Fieri fashion. Quoting Shakespeare. I'm just kidding. No, no, no. But like, you know, the first person comes in and they speak very eloquently. You know, they use flowery language, but it's kind of like a craft or whatever. Second guy looks at that and he says, there's no reason to talk like that in everyday life, because if you're trying to just communicate an idea, it's probably more effective if you use simple language, or if you don't try to pretend so much. You know, it kind of comes off as lofty. So I'm gonna speak, you know, kind of, you know, in my own way, sort of to, you know, just seem more like a man of the people or whatever. So, guy number three may come in, or that I look at that and I'm like, I personally do like the flowery language because I think it's just pretty. You know what I mean? Not necessarily because trying to show, you know, some sort of intellectual superiority or anything like that. It's just because it's nice. You know, it's like decorating your fucking room or something, or your desk, and just kind of trying to create like an atmosphere or an ambient, like for people to come in or something. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Uh, and it's just more of a respect for language than it is for, and also trying to convey your ideas clearly. And that's why I'm like, I do kind of appreciate it, but when people start to do it, and you can tell when they try to sound smart so they can put other people down, that's when I kind of take an issue with it. Especially if whatever it is that you're saying is devoid of any content. You know what I mean?
That's totally fair. You know what? I think I was just such a cynical prick. I didn't even imagine that. Never made room for the fact that they might just genuinely like the way that sounds. And I probably, even if I like for sure knew it, I probably would have been like, well, they sound like a fucking douchebag, and I don't like it, and I don't support it.
I know there are tons of I have friends that don't that are really really fucking smart, that don't use every opportunity to sound a certain way, to sound whatever. And they're way fucking smarter than me. Like, one of them is like a PhD in physics or something like that, in mathematics, and he's fully capable of being very very eloquent. And I have another friend who's kind of in a similar vein, doesn't necessarily have the biggest vocabulary, but he is like practically a math genius. But even that, like, I don't want to. If I start to talk like how everybody else does, so that I don't stick out and I don't seem like a douchebag, that also seems disingenuous on some level.
For sure, because for sure.
I'm not like that at all. Like, I'm not super chill, and I feel like I'm pretty high strung. I overanalyze everything. I'm like, I don't know how to describe it. You know what I mean? And I feel like if I try to pretend like I'm very low key, that's disingenuous. If that makes sense.
For sure, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But
yeah, that's funny, because I would totally describe you as chill. Well, you wouldn't use maybe that word, but if someone was like, is he chill, I'd be like, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
I don't know, I'm not saying that as a compliment, I'm just saying, I don't even know if chill is a compliment. I just think it's just like a description, necessarily. Yeah, but, you do seem more mellow than compared to the rest of the warlords.
Yeah.
But maybe, like, it could be that that's your own way of, like, you just have a sort of demeanor that, you have to, do you, like, pick your words carefully?
Yes.
Choosing words.
Yeah.
So that could be a way of you filtering, and I'm the same way. It's like you come off as more chill because you're not just like just immediately responding with like whatever went through your head. You have a filter, so you don't speak as often, and because you plan out what you're saying, what you say sounds more calm and collected than someone who's like free spirit and they just like whatever the fuck comes out. Like for sure, Barcode's like that, dude. Barcode, whatever the fuck's, and there's no filter. That shit's coming out.
Yeah.
And that's not like I'm not knocking him, but that's just like
no.
I would not describe him as chill, which is again why I'm almost like happy that I said it. Or I was gonna say almost proud, but I guess I'm being picky with my words now. But I see so many, like, because you said thanks when I said I think you're chill. I like corrected it and I was like, I didn't say that as a compliment, because I don't think being chill is necessarily a compliment. It's just me describing you, and that came up later because if let's say I had this conversation and didn't say that about being chill, and then I said Barcode is definitely not chill, then Barcode might take that as like an insult.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the kind of it's totally within the realm of like our overthinking, where it's like I'm that careful that I had to correct you about how when I said that you're chill.
Oh, okay, I get.
When I
do the
said
same
that,
shit too,
yeah,
man.
exactly. When I said that you're
take that with
chill,
some sort of-
I could have
Yes,
just been
take-
like, I could have just been like, oh, you know, just saying it. But instead I had to actually be like, no, it was not a compliment. I retracted. But then
No,
actually, yeah.
I get it now. It's more for the sake of establishing some sort of consistency.
Exactly.
Right? So like if I say that these are the rules and I'm not being like a fucking, you know, like I'm using chill as a compliment to you, but a pejorative to him. I totally
Right.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's funny that it
I-
even came up. Whereas, like, the second I described Barcode as not chill, I like thought back on the fact that I corrected it.
If I may talk about the fucking chill and me saying thank you, I think the reason I said thank you is because in my head I'm always talking. Like there's constantly a dialogue, some sort of dialogue going, and it's just loud and stupid most of the time because it's kind of like a monkey brain. It's just kind of bouncing around
Yeah.
like nonsensical things constantly. So that's why I guess I feel like in the way that I'm looking at myself inside of me, I feel like I'm hyper energetic when in reality that's probably not the case to like exterior. You know, like that's not the exterior that I present.
For sure.
So when you said chill, I'm like, okay, thank God. At least I'm not as crazy as I think I am.
Okay.
Does that make? Yeah.
So it was not a compliment from me to you, but to you it was complimentary.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah, you can
I
put
guess.
it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So
so-
we've managed to fully dissect like the last 4 sentences we exchanged in a conversation. That's for us. That's the amount of. So we have to like talk 3 times as long about what we just said in order to fully extract all the meaning in what was said with perfect
Yeah,
communication.
But fuck it, man. I'm not ashamed. Okay. Even though I'm kind of happy, you know, that you said chill to describe because it kind of quells, you know, some of my whatever.
Yeah.
At the same time, I kind of have contempt for quote-unquote chill stoners who don't really think. I mean, yes, I think they're super fun to hang out with, but maybe also it kind of stems from the fact that I, like you, also identified as an outsider. You know what I mean? Because I don't know how to be around people. You know, I don't know if you have been able to socially adjust to people and just kind of like blend in like chameleon-wise or whatever, but it's super exhausting for
No,
me.
I've never.
You know what I mean?
Never. It's always like, what the fuck is going on here? I feel so out of place.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
please, somebody start talking about Tekken music. Because I just can't deal with the shit. Yeah, no, for sure. Always growing up. Yeah, for sure. Hey, do you have Dark Souls?
No, I don't, man. I only have Sekiro. I've been thinking of getting Bloodborne. I hear pretty good things about that game.
If you get Bloodborne, I'll re-download it. Because I
Oh, that
want
way
to
we could
play a
just-
game other than Tekken with you.
Okay, yeah. I'll get Bloodborne. I mean, it seems like a good game. And
It's
the
really
things-
good.
Okay, what would you recommend? Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3?
Bloodborne. Especially if
Bloodborne,
you've
okay.
already played Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 2, I would say Bloodborne.
I've never played 1 or 2. I've never played any of the Soul games.
Oh,
Just
for sure.
Sekiro, that's it.
I would recommend getting Dark Souls 1 then.
Dark Souls 1? Okay.
Yeah, dude. I'll play I'll play through that game with you. Okay,
Nice.
yeah. If it came down
Oh.
to that, I would recommend Dark Souls 1 for sure. It's a super
Dark Souls.
fucking good game.
Yeah.
And
So,
if you've
I
never
didn't
played
get
it,
to
that's
finish up-
that's
I didn't get-
insane.
Yeah.
That's like
for
a
sure.
super good game that you have yet to experience. That's actually like,
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
I'd like to finish out my thought because I basically called stoners incompetent, you know, or like contemptible. I'm sorry, I call them
Yeah.
contemptible, and I don't want to leave off on that note. Not that probably any would watch this, but
Yeah, it's very
Um,
important to defend those stoners.
so just what I was trying to say is that a lot of the people who I quote unquote saw as chill had an easier time. I felt like integrating into society more than I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Not to say that I was a complete outcast, because yes, I could carry conversations. I have friends, etc., etc. But there's still that feeling of isolation and loneliness no matter where I went. And sometimes it's probably a sign of immaturity, but you kind of compare yourself to other people and be like, if these people are this way and getting friends, maybe I'm not getting friends because I'm not that way, and it's possible to develop like feelings of resentment or jealousy or whatever, just to
Yeah, I
justify it or
definitely
whatever.
did. For sure, I developed resentment for like uh how hard. I don't know. I developed. Go ahead though. I could go on. Keep talking. I know you were in the middle of a thought.
Yeah, and I'll finish it off right now. So because of that, uh, when you said that we dissected that one sentence, part of me thinks, yeah, that's kind of funny and ridiculous that we did that, but another part of me thinks, well, that's just the kind of people that we are, and I don't want to be ashamed of that shit.
No,
And
and
it
I'm not
also,
ashamed, personally.
yeah, and I think it also ties in with my perspective on flowery language and stuff like that, because I don't know, I just don't feel like. Maybe it's because I don't know that many people that kind of articulate their thoughts that way, but I just kind of like the idea of it, you
Yeah,
know?
dude, I write fucking poetry. Like, there's a part of me that, of course, can appreciate it, but it's like, I don't know, it's like not in public. It's like it's too intimate to be expressing how, like, that kind of flowery language, and to me, there's something about it. But going back to the resentment thing, for sure, I think a lot of it is that in like high school, as you're developing, the people who have the most easygoing time socializing, they're not struggling to. They're just being themselves. Whether like they're not that inwardly focused. Not to say that they're not introverted, but they're not dwelling on what they're putting out there that much, and like they're not ashamed. They have like a lack of shame, which I don't think is necessarily a good thing. In fact, I think having a lack of shame is like not a very good trait. But they just were able to. The fact that I had shame actually made me resent people who, because it was like, yeah, they're socializing easily, but it's like they're saying dumb shit, and it's like, to me it was like, at what cost, but since then I've like really chilled out the resentment, because I've found a lot of people similar to me, and those people who don't have the shame, they're more comfortable with themselves way sooner than everyone else is, where people like you and me, we're not going to be the people who are just like nonstop talking in a classroom setting, or at a party. Or people who have like niche interests, or they're not like bubbly. Their personality has to comes with like long conversations and shit like that. You're just not going to stand out. And at parties, like, those kind of people don't often show up to parties. Those kind of people you end up meeting through fucking video games, or like at a job, or at the library or something like that. It's just the fact that those people were always more present, that I think I ended up resenting them, because it felt like, they were just like, it was like sickening to me that everything came so easily to them. But like, I felt like I had way more to offer, because I felt like when they would speak, it was just like totally meaningless garbage that was coming out of their mouth always. But it was really that they were just comfortable, and they didn't care about sounding a particular way or anything like that.
And how do you feel right now? Do you feel pretty comfortable in your own skin?
For sure, yeah. I am completely. Well, it's not like I never am uncomfortable, but to me, the only time I'm ever uncomfortable is in situations where it's like I have an obligation to socialize. But the only time that ever happens is at work. And it's just like, I do my best, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not uncomfortable with who I am, but it sometimes is work to try and not appear as like someone who is just not interested and someone who's like just grumpy or something, because I have to really go outside my comfort zone just because of the nature of my job and because of the nature of all of the very different personalities I work with. Like I work with like 5 black women. Most of them are over 30. So it's just like to me there's a lot of, I have to do a lot to actually engage them, but still be myself, and that's like, that can be work, and that's not necessarily comfortable. But I'm not like struggling. It's not like there's no inner turmoil over who I am anymore. Around my friends, that's like, I have the best fucking friends in the world. Like, I actually have all my friends. I can have meaningful conversations like this, and I like that's the kind of friends I like. I'm super fucking lucky. Like, that's the one thing in my life that I think went like perfectly, which is like the friends I ended up making. They've all never backstabbed me, never let me down, and never like, just like, it's never fell off. The friends that I've made that I knew like were good friends, I'll talk to them like many times a month at least.
That's, well, then you're pretty lucky, man, because I don't really have any.
Yeah, I'm super fucking lucky.
I think maybe the closest person to being that way, and it's gonna sound a little bit better. I mean, I have a quote unquote best friend because we've known each other for a very long time, and for the most part we can, can have like long conversations. But the person who I feel I can actually kind of get a little bit deeper with is my brother, and that might be it. And I don't really even talk to him that much. But yeah, so that's pretty lucky, man, that you have like, because that's like that's kind of in a way reassuring, because you have almost like a sounding board to your shit, or even people calling you out when you're saying dumb stuff, and so it's very good. Yeah, you should definitely treasure that.
I do, man. Man, we got real gay in this conversation.
Yeah,
we're talking about treasuring our friends, and I'm just like, yeah, I absolutely. Oh god.
And believe
so
in
funny.
your hopes and dreams.
Right.
No, but
never give up. You'll find your friends one day, Amy. Believe in yourself.
Okay, dude, just fucking imagine somebody tuning in and out. Like, the first one's like, oh yeah, I really love Gene. And then they come out, it's like, so the thing about religion is, and then they come back in, it's like,
dude. It's like, oh my god, such a beautiful song. And then it's like, I can't believe he's our president. And then it's like, you have to treasure your friends. You're really lucky.
It turns into a therapy session where there's like crying involved. Like, what the fuck is this? Why is this titled Tekken music?
Oh god. Yeah. Oh god, that's hilarious. I mean, I have to get self-aware. That's another thing about my personality, dude. And maybe it comes from insecurity, but I don't care. I feel like sometimes I have to get self-aware. Like,
no, that's actually very healthy.
Like, no matter how it came to like that intimate moment where you were like, you have to treasure your friends, and I was like, I absolutely do. I could not help but like see it immediately once again over again in my mind from an outside perspective of like, look at these faggots. and then that's hilarious to me. Like, if there was another person here and they're like, okay, faggots, you want to kiss and you want to like make out already, I would have thought like that would have been really endearing that they said that.
Yeah, and I would have been like, yeah. What of it?
We're already playing footsies under the table, we might as well. But goddamn, dude, yeah, get Bloodborne.
Alright, I'll get Bloodborne. Okay, I got one last question.
No, wait, get Dark Souls. What am I talking about? Get Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. Would you classify yourself more as an introvert or an extrovert?
I guess introvert, if I had to. But I would say I'm very social. It's just like I'm picky when I want to be social. I'm not going to be very social with someone who I just don't find value in talking to or don't find anything in common. Like, I'm not going to be very social with them. But with someone like who I find like-minded or just like interesting to talk to, I'm like very, very social. I
I
love to
getcha.
fucking talk, and I think that's not really introverted.
No, it's not. I think introverted is more like, when you asked me, do I think about my answers before I talk about them, that's more the introverted tendency.
But I totally do that, and I'm very hyper analytical, like very much overthinking shit and in my own head all the time. So yeah, I mean, but I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that DM5 or whatever. Oh no, that's the psychological handbook for not diagnostics, but the Big Five test and all that shit. Um, even even like IQ tests, I really think it doesn't. It measures for a world that doesn't exist. It might measure something, but like where that score can be applied perfectly, it doesn't exist in Earth or in reality. Same thing with those like tests you take, and I think it's kind of skewed that it's a test that you take, rather than like something that is filled out from observations and through stuff that you don't have like a multiple choice control over.
Yeah. Even if it were to be filled out by somebody who's actually analyzing you, it would still be incredibly difficult
Yeah.
to try and categorize you. Just because
Although
it's
go ahead.
I think the only way they would be able to say anything meaningful about you is when you're talking and you're not thinking. You're just kind of like reacting and just saying something
Yeah,
out of
exactly.
impulse or habit.
Right.
Um,
I do think to make a quick thought, I do think for people like the people I was talking about, who I resented, where everything comes easy to them, it's very useful for those kind of people.
Up, but it's funny because it's true.
Very useful. No, that kind of shit is very useful for them.
Yeah. Because they're unthinking simps. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I guess simpletons. I wouldn't say simps, because simps
I
has
thought
like.
simp had like the root word in simpleton, and it just kind of got adapted into.
Simp came from, simp came from like it's like, what was it? It's like some idiot. Oh no, it's like stupid. Okay, I think it comes from like simpleton. Oh, I don't know what the S stands for, but the IMP stands for idealizing mediocre pussy. Or someone who idealizes mediocre pussy. I think that's what simp came from. So it's purely connected to like fucking women, and even though which is stupid because it sounds like simpleton, and that is something a simpleton would do. Like you could call someone who idealizes mediocre pussy a simpleton, but that's not what simp means. Also, I have to say that just because I actually like the word simpleton and I don't like the word simp. So I want them to be separate. Yeah, simpleton phonetically, also just like simpleton is like an old school insult. It's like something you would expect a villain to call someone. You simpleton.
Yeah.
I like that word.
I will say that if you add like fucking in the middle of something, you could definitely modernize it and not make it sound so dorky. Like you're a fucking simpleton or something.
For sure, yeah.
But, yeah.
You're a fucking harlot.
That was a little harder.
Yeah. You're a fucking charlatan. You're a fucking haberdasher.
You goddamn whore of Babylon.
Man, listening to Jordan Peterson's religious lectures was like he was talking about the Tower of Babel It's fucking super interesting.
Yeah, I gotta catch up on some of his videos.
I don't
Um,
know if I ever will. They're so long, and I have such a fucking monkey brain myself. To me, like, I'm just so hedonistic, dude. Like, I can do productive stuff when I like know I need to, but if it's my free time, I just do like I'll watch the most fucking dumb shit and just play video games. I like it. Like I can if I'm forced to enjoy Jordan Peterson, I will enjoy it. Like if that's what's on, or if, like sometimes I will get in a kick, rarely, and like watch educational material. Um, but for the most part, dude, I'm like might as well be watching TikToks when it comes to the content I find like engaging on YouTube. It's always
yeah,
just
I
like
watched that.
make me laugh, make me laugh button. Fart noises.
Um, yeah. Do you at all watch ASMR videos?
Oh god, no, I do not.
That's probably my one guilty pleasure.
Do you
Actually, I have
watch?
many.
Do you watch exclusively female ASMR videos?
No, I don't.
What do you get out of
No.
it?
It's super relaxing. It's honestly just so like, I mean, you talk about hedonism, right? When you've had like a long day of work and you just completely just want to check out, that's just a good addition to you like lying in your bed and not doing anything.
To me, that's podcasts.
Podcast.
Yeah, to me, that's podcasts. Like Your Mom's House or H3 Podcast or
Oh, H3. I like those guys.
yeah.
I think they're very sane for the most part. You know what I mean? I don't. There's another YouTuber, Drew Gooden, who's kind of young, but I also kind of like his content because he just kind of like people like H3H3 or that one guy, the one with the cheap drawings that says, "Hello, everybody." You know what I'm talking about? That one. He has like, okay, oh, grade A under A. There we go. That's
No, I'm not familiar.
yeah. It's basically these people who point out how ridiculous culture can be, or certain, like Twitch thoughts, for example. It does make me feel like the internet is a little bit more of a sane place, and that people do see kind of how ridiculous certain people are getting away. Certain people are. I mean, I don't know how like into streamer culture you are, but as somebody who wants to make video games, I do realize that a lot of your promotion kind of depends, or could be like a great boon to have people playing your game. But when you kind of get more and more into that culture, and you start to see how like people exploit it, it can get very depressing. I don't know if what I'm saying is too abstract, but yeah. Do you know anything about Twitch culture whatsoever?
I do. I mean, I feel like I do, but I also feel like that could mean so many different things. But I'm like aware of the Twitch. I'm not finding the word. The stratum, I guess, like the popular Twitch streamers and the kind of culture surrounding thoughts, like the Twitch thoughts and the fucking, I know what all the emotes mean, and I know like most of the fucking young male streamers are like pretty much they have this, there's like a popular way to feel about everything. Did that adequately
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I only asked because I kept going on and I wasn't receiving a response. I thought, uh-oh.
Yeah, I was just
I don't
listening to try and like see where you're coming from.
So,
but I know there's a lot of clicks in Twitch. A lot of like clicks and like people who run in circles.
yes, very much. Did you like a couple of weeks ago there was that girl that was saying $5 isn't a lot of money to
Oh
donate?
yeah, I'm aware. Hilarious, dude.
So, okay. Do you have any opinion on any of that?
Yeah, why? I mean, like, to me, I don't know, dude. To me, I have donated to Eris, but I only ever donated. It's weird, dude. I guess I haven't thought about, like, fleshed out my opinions about it as much as I thought, but I really don't see the point in donating to. I do think I mean, there is some legitimate level of simpness. I hate to use that term, but there's like some real truth to like criticizing these people over sending money to some woman just because she's attractive, unless they actually enjoy their content. And they're not just tuning in because they want to look at their cleavage or they like looking at a pretty face. But yeah, I think it's hilarious that she, like, even whether or not she felt that way, the fact that she even vocalized it, thinking that it would go over well, shows just like an insane lack of self-awareness from her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it's insane that she didn't think that would go over well.
Yes, exactly. I kind of want to talk about that. So, what ended up happening is that she said, $5 is not a lot of money, and if you can't give me that money... Her first statement was, if you're watching Twitch, statistically speaking, you're about to have a little money left over, right? And that's a perfectly true statement. You know what I mean? If you're watching Twitch in your spare time, more than likely you have $5 at your disposal. Fine, whatever, I'll give her that. And she says, and somebody chimed in and said, what if I can't afford it? And she said, well, you're being irresponsible with your money. That's what she said. I take issue with that, and I'll get into it right now. And then the third thing she said was that it's not a lot of money, guys. You're not going to change my mind about this. What happened a couple of days later?
Yeah,
she changed her mind about
exactly.
it. So here's why that happened. She's in a bubble where basically anything she says just kind of gets it's like an echo chamber, you know. You say something and
it's all flattery. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you have no way of knowing that your shit is stupid until it reaches somebody outside of that bubble. And so when in her apology video,
real quick,
one of the persons.
Real quick though, if she was she's still really ignorant and she lacks a lot of self-awareness, because there are plenty of chicks who are have nothing but worm tongues, like flattering them constantly, who can still be aware of the current dynamic between, you know, Twitch streamers and fans. Like, there are plenty of women on Twitch who take advantage of that system, of all these guys who are like pathetic and are willing to just send them money, but who are also smart enough not to say that kind of shit because they know it's not popular. So I don't really give her that as an excuse. She's still pretty dumb for saying that shit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So when that guy said, you said that you wouldn't change your opinion, but now you're changing it. Well, the only reason you're changing it is because you quite literally got called out on it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that really upsets me, is that you can just be a complete cocksure fucking asshole and build a little bubble around you, and you can thrive off of that without any repercussions. You know what I mean? And it's it does wonders for your self-esteem because you're just getting nothing but praises and you're getting money and you're kind of completely disconnected from reality. And then once you know, shit hits the fan, you know, your stuff gets leaked because you say something stupid or whatever, then you basically get destroyed. So it's a pretty fucked up machine.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah. I it's especially bad. I mean, that girl is like 29 years old.
I know.
But think about like fucking 17-year-olds, you know what I mean? Who just don't know anything about the
Good.
world.
I mean, not
okay,
the worst
fine.
way to have a hard blow to your life is to have some kind of dumb drama over Twitch, and that's what you grow from. But I mean, I don't blame women at all for, I don't, like, that does not bother me that women are using fucking losers to create an income for themselves and to, like, have this super inflated revenue for, like, just being flirtatious and showing some cleavage while fucking around on a stream. I have no problem with that. To me, it's like more like, come on, guys, be better than that. You know, you're not. That's like, you're like, but yeah, both. I'd say both the guys and the girl are not going to be growing from that environment. I guess from that like, what would you call it? That something where it's like self-contained system.
Oh, it's like a bubble.
Yeah, I guess. I guess growing from that kind of ball. I was trying to find a different word, but yeah, for sure. I think it's good though. It's like it's perfect. It's like there's the downs. No one fucking is getting hurt from it, you know. But it's like lessons are learned when. But it's not impossible to be outside that bubble. It's just. It takes a specific kind of person to be in that bubble, for the guys and the girls. So it's like, it's karmic that she experienced that. She could have been benefiting from that system and still been aware of how that shit that she said would have come off.
Yeah, she could have. I mean, and if you look at her, she actually seems kind of smart. So it seems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't have.
I mean, if she was really like nerdy, you know, like nerdy, like the people who watch Twitch, she would be watching fucking. She would be watching clips of like the live fails and shit like that, and would have acknowledged like the climate, you know.
I get what you're saying. Kind of like.
But she was too. Yeah, she's like parasitically entered the Twitch genre, the Twitch like culture, without actually knowing anything about it, and that's where she slipped up more than it was having that opinion, you know. It was that she was so ignorant about the culture that she expressed it in such a dumb way, expecting not to get backlash. But it's also just super fucking entitled, that what she said.
I think she's smarter than the majority of the people who subscribe to her, and that gave her probably a little too much confidence, and she slipped up and fucked up. Because her tone is extremely condescending. So you know, she said that like if you're watching this, you probably have $5, right? And people that try to counter her and say, look, man, in this climate, you don't have money because of the whole corona or whatever. That's not a very good argument, because chances are you probably can spare $5, but that's not the point. The thing that's fucked up is that you make judgments on somebody else because they choose not to give you money. That's the part that's messed up. You know what I mean? So it's very slippery, because her premise is factually or logically sound, but the thing that she's trying to get people to do, that's unethical, in my opinion, or just kind of fucked up, at the very least, you know? Sorry, I feel like you were going to say something.
I took a bite of my dinner, but Hold on. It's also the fact that she's criticizing them for potentially not having the kind of money to want to give $5. So she's saying that they're irresponsible for not having that kind of disposable income to be able to do that. But the kind of person who will make a $5 donation with like virtually no return on their investment is not the kind of person who would have disposable income, because if they're willing to do that shit, then they're not going to be good with their money. That's giving her money is not responsible. What's your return on investment?
Yeah, exactly, right? That's
you
perfect.
give them you give them money because you want to support them, and that's it. There's nothing to be entitled about. It's like your service is purely, if you want to charge for a service, charge for a service. It's your fault for giving it. If you're going to be entitled, don't give away your service for free. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah, and you can actually
fucking
do
dumb
that
cunt. It's so simple. Like,
yeah.
Well, then charge for the service, dumb bitch. You're the one choosing to stream on this free platform. Like, it's go on to fucking My Free Cams or some shit, or you know, do private shows or whatever. But you know that doesn't give you as much money. It's purely entitlement and greed that led her to that statement.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like your point is way better than mine. I was. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I liked your point, but she would have been doing the private shows and making people pay for her content. But if that would have, she clearly, because she didn't know Twitch culture, she clearly just went to Twitch because it was the streamlined method for her to make the most money out of, you know, her online personality and her public image and everything. So that just goes to show that she's like all of it was just greed and entitlement and a lack of self-awareness. It's cosmic, dude. She deserved it all. The whole situation went out as perfectly as it could have.
Let me ask you something, man. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you know that people like that in Twitch exist. In fact, there's a lot of them, and it is kind of pronounced. And then there's, you know, people that are kind of nasty or whatever. If you were a game designer, and I'm not saying that, you know, your success hinges upon them, but to some extent, they are the consumers of whatever it is that you make, you know, would that in any way, shape, or form kind of depress you? As stupid as it sounds, I know that it has nothing to do with you.
Easily I can answer it would depress me. But at the end of the day, when you make any kind of art, it's no longer yours once you give it to the world. It's no longer yours, and that's the way you have to treat it. Same thing with fucking a novel, you know? If someone says that their novel...
Twitch girls, tisk, tisk, tisk.
If you write... Catcher in the Rye, and someone says that is the book someone used, that was their inspiration for killing John Lennon, you have to separate that from what you did.
Yeah,
and another point is there's more writing on. I mean, unless it's a solo project, there's got to be more people's success riding on it than just yours. So your pride shouldn't really come in the way of, you know, your product doing well.
That's a very mature way of looking at it. I guess I never really factored other people because I am just kind of winging this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of depressing on some level because if you were to write Catcher of the Rye, chances are your main demographic, the people who would really actually read and digest that book, are not likely to be, you know, kind of the scum of the earth or whatever. That's very harsh to call Twitch people that, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just it. You have to be proud of what you made, separate from everyone else. I for sure learned that because I wanted to be like a writer at one point, and I thought like I actually did have some sort of new age modernistic poetry that had like way more value than any sort of like published poetry now was, and I thought like, oh, this is worth more attention, but that's really not what it's about, and that's not why you should do things anyways. I mean, you know for sure, you know that, but yeah, it does suck when not even when you are the one who made the product, but when you see something being underappreciated and you know its value, and it's like you can feel for that artist or whatever that like the world didn't accept it or see it for the value it had. Uh, but that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Or like someone you really like, they have a different opinion. Like they didn't find, or they didn't voice cracker. They didn't find what you found compelling, and they like are shit talking it. You know, it hurts in a way. It can like be like, oh, that's actually really disappointing that like they're shitting all over this thing that I really like. But you know, you just can't. It's just you can't be that invested. You just have to be happy for yourself for like even finding it. But yeah, it'd be
yeah.
super depressing if like everyone you met uh, couldn't find the value in the things that you found value in.
Yeah. Uh, I'm happy that Eris enjoyed Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, dude, that's weird. I was actually thinking about Eris when I was saying that. But yeah, for sure he's like not liked stuff that I really liked, or like he's had different opinions about shit. Like I was actually talking to him early on when he was streaming before he like blew up, asking him about why like or would he try a Soul Level 1 playthrough in Dark Souls or Demon Souls, and I was like telling him what I thought was cool about it, and he was just like, no, that sounds fucking stupid. Why would I ever want to do that? And like he got annoyed, and I was like, well, like it actually like was like disappointing because I thought like here's this thing I could like further try to connect with him because I actually like I'm a fan of his. But then I was like, well, I guess it's just like it's just not his thing.
What was it, by the way? Do you remember what you told him that he didn't like?
To try a level 1 playthrough of
What does
Dark
that
Souls.
mean?
Oh, it just
Like,
means
no, no.
you don't use the level up system in the game, which means that you can only use certain weapons and certain armor, and it just makes the game, it's just like a self-imposed stipulation to make the game more challenging.
I see. Well,
But I've done that
but
with
that's just,
every single From Software game, and I usually do a playthrough on my own and one with my friend, and they're some of the most fun playthroughs I've ever done.
what's the closest to that for Sekiro?
There's not really a good, unfortunately with Sekiro, there's not a good comparison. Yeah, because because of the stamina system in Sekiro, it's just tedious to play without leveling up because you can't stagger them as easily, and they stagger you more easily, and that's like essential. That's like the core foundation of the game. So it doesn't really work. And then the other way to play Sekiro would be, I considered a stipulation with Sekiro would be to not use any of the prosthetic tools, but then that just takes away like one of the most fun parts of the game. So I never ended up doing a stipulation with Sekiro because I couldn't think of one to do that would actually be fun and satisfying. But with every other game I've done it, including Bloodborne and Dark Souls 1
Yeah. So,
and
sort of
Dark
a
Souls 2.
side note, but are you into Devil May Cry at all?
No, not really.
Have you ever played any of them?
I played 4.
Oh, four's pretty bad.
Yeah, I got suckered in. I just thought the cover art looked cool.
Yeah,
I
no,
never beat it.
not bad. The first one is actually really, I really like that one. That one is probably my favorite. Yeah. And then maybe the third one. But the first one had like this sort of Castlevania, Resident Evil kind of unique feel. Like things felt very dangerous and unstable. Because it's so weird. Like the thing about video games is like you would think that the way to create a feeling of like unsafety or non-safety would be mostly through aesthetics, like creepy music and sort of scripted events or whatever. But the thing that made that game so scary was actually how hard it was. And it's actually kind of a similar feeling that I had when I played my first From Software game, Sekiro, is that it's so fucking hard. And I mean, I know you're a Souls player, and you might have a different opinion, but for me, that was like one of the harder games I'd played, and things just felt unsafe and kind of unpredictable, and I kind of liked that. And that feeling for me culminated when you were first fighting that ogre that could just grab you and kill you, just throw you off the figure.
You beat Sekiro, right?
Yeah, I did several times actually. And I beat it like on like the hard difficulty, and I did it so that I would have the charm, the evil charm, and then I also put it in hard mode and whatever. Yeah, it comes from mostly just like the mechanics, man. Like that feeling of unsafety, and Devil May Cry 1 had that because the enemies would deal a lot of damage. You only had a limited amount of continues, and the jumping and the controls were all fucked up. It was like triangle to jump, and in order to shoot your guns, you had to hold R1 and then press X. It was just so weird, And yeah, tonally, it was just really, really awesome.
Yeah, I get that. Like, unorthodox mechanics and controls actually making it more satisfying and like adding a lot of depth.
For sure.
I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but I feel like I've definitely felt that in games.
Okay.
Forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, Sekiro. Oh yeah, Sekiro is definitely hard. Yeah, I would say it's definitely hard. It wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't as hard as some people said, but I would not say it was easy by a long stretch. I would say it's definitely up there among the hardest out of all of From Software's games. But I don't know. I've just gotten really used to those games where I'll never struggle, and you won't either, since Sekiro was your first From Software game. You're never gonna struggle like you did in the rest of the From Software games as much as you did in Sekiro. You might a little bit, because Dark Souls has the mechanics are a lot different. But for the most part, it's like giving you a type of gameplay that your skills are gonna translate at some point. They're gonna carry over. But yeah, your first From Software game, it's such an insane like skill barrier that you have to get past in order to actually be able to play the game or beat the game, or like get past those key bosses. Was there ever a boss that you spent more than a day on Sekiro?
No, I mean, there was a boss that I turned off the system and I came back later that day. And it was actually the ogre. Because it was like the first time I'd encountered anything like that in a video game. And I actually, I'm not proud to admit this, but I thought, fuck this game. Like, I was actually thinking of returning it because it felt so unfair. but
Mm-hmm.
part of my personality, I'm like, I can't do that. I would not be happy with myself because I'm not somebody who likes to give up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely somebody that likes to see like a difficult challenge all the way through, and so I did. And then after that, I never struggled. I just like, all right, I'm just gonna figure out the pattern, and I did. And yeah.
I had a similar moment in Dark Souls 1 where you you lose your souls when you die in Dark Souls, and that's your experience points for leveling up. And I had
Mhm.
collected over 40,000, and I was wandering the depths, and I was completely lost. And there was this specific frog that can curse you, which is a status effect I hadn't seen, and it permanently well, it cuts your health in half and instantly kills you. And then I think I from that point on I had like not enough health to even survive the area, so I lost the souls, and I was
Mhm.
just like I was just like um I think I ended up going even further in, and just was like, it was so, I was getting my ass kicked so badly that I was even in a party on Skype with my friend Wes playing it at the time, and I said, I don't think I can play a game this punishing. And it just I have been
I
made.
know you see yourself and you're like, God, what a fucking pussy I am
I
right
know,
now.
dude.
Oh,
My
yes.
friend has made fun of me relentlessly for it. It's something both of us will say now, just because it's like it sticks out in our memory of like what you say when you're being a bitch. But but yeah, like I actually got to that point with Dark Souls where I was like, you know, you get to this point where it's like you almost feel like you're being taken advantage of because you're that butthurt, or like you've been defeated by the game's mechanics that much. You feel that powerless that you actually want to blame the game. But truly, with those games, there is bullshit, but it's so rewarding, and also there's always a way to deal with it. But that was fucked up because back then, when you got cursed, oh god, dude, it's so fucked up. There was only one NPC that could cure it, and you had to go into one of the most like dangerous end game areas of the game and fight these ghost enemies that you literally couldn't damage, and who would swarm you in like an like they would swarm you in like a fucking group of like 30,
Oh shit.
and you had to get past them to talk to this NPC. And you had to climb up this slow ladder, this long as fuck ladder, while these ghosts were attacking you. And it was just like, it was really fucked up. But dude, you should totally get Dark Souls. That'd be really fucking fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. Well, I gotta be honest, dude. Bloodborne looks really not really awesome. I might just get Bloodborne. Might just
If
jump
you get
straight into
Bloodborne,
Bloodborne.
just message me on Facebook if you do, so I'll know to reinstall it.
You already have bought that game, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was actually free
Um.
1 month on PS Plus.
Uh, fuck. Um. I was. Oh, right. I wanted to say something when you said that this game is too punishing, and that you heard yourself and you thought it was funny. When I thought like fuck this game, it's too hard. I remember that I had read articles about people being like there should be a difficulty slider and kind of being upset, and some person actually wrote a article that said I'm quitting. I put Sekiro on easy mode with hacks, and I feel fine about it. And I'm
Dude,
like, this is one
I
of the
read the
most
same
pathetic
article with
things
my
I've ever read.
friend, and we made fun of it for
Yeah.
like an hour.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I do not want to be this fucking guy. So that's kind of what kept me from.
He doesn't feel fine about it. You wrote a fucking article trying to justify it. Your guilt is immense.
Yeah.
Hilarious, dude. I feel fine about it. Go ahead, say what you want. I feel fine about it. The game sucks anyways. I just had to, like, I just chose to literally hack it to make it easier in order to beat the game instead of just not playing it. No, Sekiro's fucking awesome though.
It is.
It had some of the best like cinematic moments out of any of the Souls games.
Oh, you're talking about like death blows and that kind of thing?
No, I'm talking about moments in the game, like when you stab the snake in the head and the blood just comes like raining down after you make that like giant plunge. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, like kind of in the middle of the game, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's late game actually. You have to go fly. You have to go take that kite over. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we have to possess that one guy, right?
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
It's after you put, and you have to go to the monk area.
Right.
It's actually in the mid game. But anyway, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that scene was like so fucking badass. I was not expecting it. I was not expecting my character to do something that fucking badass. The other thing is the moment you go into the clouds at the end, like one of the last bosses, the dragon boss in like basically heaven, who's throwing the lightning at you.
Yes.
That boss fight was like insane. That I could not. It was like so overwhelmingly cool when it was happening.
It was because it felt so airy, like you were literally floating. It was and then you could manipulate the lightning and hit him. It was really cool.
And the distance at which like you were so far away from the boss.
It really
Still
did feel
fighting them.
ethereal. Like it felt very ethereal for sure. It actually didn't even feel like a boss battle. It kind of felt like a battle between gods or something.
Right.
You know. I guess that's kind of what it was. And then the way he kills him, he's like filleting him like a fish, but there's also something so gentle about it. Like he's putting the dragon to rest. I don't know if you remember it, but yeah.
Yeah, that game was awesome. The one thing I don't like... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I was going to say the only boss I didn't like was the fire demon, but what were you going to say?
The fire demon was the optional boss at the end, or...?
Yeah.
Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. The biggest disappointment with Sekiro was just that it doesn't really reward multiple playthroughs. It doesn't change enough. Whereas with Dark Souls games, all it takes is picking a different weapon and it's like a completely different playthrough. You can instead of doing strength one game, you do dexterity a next playthrough, and it's like a totally different game. You can choose magic. A magic playthrough is always fun. A faith playthrough is always something different. There are so many different builds you can do with Dark Souls that it just has an insane amount of replayability, whereas Sekiro, you know, it's the same game pretty much every time.
Is that true about Bloodborne as well?
Yeah, Bloodborne has a lot of replayability. A ton.
Because I know that in Bloodborne you can't block, and you really only have like an axe or something and your blunderbuss, right? Like that's really it.
The axe is just one of the weapons. You can... There's of course more weapons. There's like over 20 different weapons that are all like very fleshed out.
Okay. Let's see.
But yeah, dude, fuck it. I'd be excited for anything you bought from Software. I've been wanting to play a From Software game, and all my friends have like not really been into it lately.
And we can also co-op, right? Like that's the main reason you
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I wish Sekiro had some sort of co-op. That would be really
I know,
cool.
dude. No co-op and no. There's only the one weapon.
Yeah, I was cause you know I actually I program and I try to design games, you know, like on my own, and so I spend a lot of time thinking about this sort of thing. And you played Binding of Isaac, right? So
Love that game. I played the shit out of it. I own it on PS4 as well as PC, like in the past.
I played it a lot myself. I never got good at it because I never really like took the time to learn like the rules and the synergies. Like Northernlight kind of picked it up pretty quickly, and then he just fucking built his entire channel around it. But anyway, so Ed McMillan said that the dream would be to build a game that you could play forever, and that was his kind of philosophy about Binding of Isaac. And Binding of Isaac, all it really is, man, is procedurally generated content. It's not really random. There are definitely random elements like the power-ups that you can pick up, but largely it's like a level will be sectioned off into various bits, and those bits are picked at random, but they're still structured. But it doesn't really matter because the core gameplay of the loop is essentially hit somebody with your projectile and dodge that projectile. And the level designs, the way that they're structured, only feed into that idea because it's so simple. The point that I'm trying to make with this is that like you would think that the ideal game would be to have something that constantly throws something new at you so that you learn or whatever. But it could just be a me thing. Even if like each circumstance is new. You understand what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, I know what it is, and if I deeply understand that idea, if you show me a bunch of different variations on the scenario, it just kind of becomes a one trick pony. And so
one trick Tommy pony.
Yeah, one trick Tommy pony, one trick pony.
That was hilarious.
So, I've actually come to realize that I love speedruns because they are quite the opposite of that. And you would think, well, speedruns is they're quite literally the same shit over and over again. You know, you're just perfecting that one thing, and that's kind of boring, or that could be kind of boring. But it's actually not, and it encourages experimentation only if the game designer is a good game designer. Because a game is essentially like somebody expressing an idea to you, and depending how robust that idea is, that determines how much you can experiment with that one scenario. So, like I'll give you an example. Like Metal Gear Solid 3 is a perfect example in my opinion, because that game is very linear. But at any given moment, you can take out guards in so many different creative ways. You can maybe plant explosives in your barrels, or you could snipe them, or you could sneak around them, or you could do whatever. But the first time you play through it, you're gonna get your ass killed because you don't really know their positions and you don't really know the rules. And if the rules were constantly changing, you would never be able to map out the system and experiment. And so, it's actually a lot more interesting, in my opinion, to have a well-designed game that you can experiment than something that just kind of comes new at you, just kind of random, and you don't understand the rules. And I think maybe that's just like a personality thing, or like a different perspective. Does that make any sense?
I'm following you, but it also could have just been that you didn't like the Binding of Isaac for whatever reason, as much as like you could have. I don't know, because I really like the Binding of Isaac, and I totally acknowledge that it's the same, you know, it's procedurally generated, but I felt like it was, the whole point was, and I played the shit out of it, like, unlocked all the characters, including all the hidden characters, and like, beat them all, beat every single scenario, like the dark room, the chest, and that's crazy. You know about Northern Lion? Did you ever watch like the Northern Lion Live Super Show?
No, I would just have him a lot in the background while I was coding or just whatever.
Okay.
Because I like the guy.
That's just, yeah, he's cool. That's crazy. You fucking watch Northern Lion. You have seen a lot of shit on YouTube that I've also seen. I mean, Northern Lion, he's you know, he's not like mainstream. He's one of the nerdier, fucking less hyperactive YouTubers. So that's cool that you actually know about him and like him.
He's actually kind of low-key, like, we've been overusing this word, the self-aware, but he kind of is, like, he kind of has, like, this, like, oh, blah, 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 kind of whatever, but I think he only does this so because he recognizes he doesn't want to come off as a douchebag. But, like, when you actually hear the content of what he's saying, it's actually kind of, it's interesting to listen to him, so I like him a lot. And so I agree. He's not a total fucking spaz.
Right. Yeah, dude, he totally, he is one of the more self-aware YouTubers. Like, when he's in those, like, when he does his live show, oh, dude, just like with people, he's like, oh, right, hey, everybody, this is Bear Taffy with the live super show, and Northern Lion is just, he just, like, talks, you know? It's like, I've never understood the appeal of those YouTubers who are like, hey, everybody, what's going on, and blah, 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 this is my theatrical voice. It's like, this is not your fucking, like, how is that entertaining? It's just so clearly not the real fucking voice.
I know, dude. Like, Jacksepticeye or Markiplier.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're like, yeah, they're like,
kind of like
PewDiePie is a lot different than he fucking used to be. I'll say that at least.
Yeah.
Before, he was like no different from fucking Markiplier and the rest of them. And I still would like, I've seen some of PewDiePie's videos, but I still like don't think he's interesting enough to just watch him play video games. But I've clicked on videos of like specific topics, and it's like I don't think he's a bad YouTuber. Whereas before, I would say he was like responsible for like destroying Let's Plays.
Yes, yeah, I largely agree. He just fucking grew out his beard, and he just became more like critical of people. I kind of.
It's insane because I could not see, dude, it was like there was no way I could forgive PewDiePie for how annoying he was and like everything he represented on YouTube. And then of course he's like ends up being one of the more self-aware people.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of fun. The people that I will never forgive is fucking Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, although I don't really, like they're just ridiculous to me. They don't upset me like PewDiePie upset me because I was a huge fucking nerd, really into Let's Plays, and PewDiePie was giving Let's Plays a bad name. Whereas Jake Paul and them are fucking vloggers, which I always thought was like the vlogging scene in YouTube. Yeah, I was like, okay, they're the fakest. They're even faker than the YouTubers. Like, hey everybody, what's going on? The vloggers were like, oh god, that's so cringy. I don't even want to like attempt to mock them. But yeah, the vloggers, and then fucking Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Like, it's just a shit show. Like, I'm not even upset about it. It's just like, yeah, of course, fuck those guys.
Oh my god, you need to start a channel like that where you say, hey everybody, blah blah blah, but you need to say really fucked up shit like, I just came into my dead son's coffin or some shit, just keeping it completely in that tone, just saying like the worst imaginable things in a PR tone.
We actually did that shit, me and Wes. Like, Wes is the guy I did like hundreds and hundreds of episodes of Let's Plays with. And we started making fake intros to our Let's Plays to make fun of other Let's Plays that did intros, and we started starting off the videos like, Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dark Souls, or welcome back to Gay Souls. I'm gay. God damn it! Like, we just did the stupidest shit. Or, like, hey, what's up? I'm here with my co-host, Wesley. Go ahead and say something, Wesley. And then he would just be silent. And I'd just be like, oh, looks like Wesley doesn't want to... Or we also made specific videos. You know Red Supre?
No, I don't.
Red Supre are these two guys who are from the forums that actually started Let's Play. And they started a series where they make fun of, like, especially bad Let's Plays. Whether it's quality or just the personality or, like, what they're saying. And we actually just liked that so much, and we found ourselves, making fun of Let's Plays on our own, that we started doing some. And we found some fucking... One video was, like, this guy and this chick doing a Let's Play, and the guy was like, hey, hey Luna, are your boobs ready? And we just thought that was the most obnoxious, like, infuriating thing that could be said, and we just kept saying it to each other, like, to start out videos. It was just, we would just intentionally use the shit that was, like, infuriated us, because when we would say it, it was actually funny. But, I think I'm actually gonna send you, let me send you one of our, one of the episodes of our Let's Play with the intro in it.
Do you? I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that you probably don't respect reaction videos all that much, right?
It depends. I guess it really depends on the quality of the reaction.
It probably depends more on who's reacting and why they're reacting to it. So, like, if you were to watch, I mean, I'm just going to use Northern Lion as an example again, react to a new build of Binding of Isaac, it would have more meaning than some idiot reacting to a new Marvel movie or something like that.
Like how H3, they curated their reactions. It was very intentional what they would react to. It was not like, this is the popular thing to react to, I'm going to react to it. They weren't reacting for the sake of reacting, they were reacting because they had something to say about what they were reacting to.
Okay, fair enough. I will say about, like, straight up reacting for the sake of reacting, those videos are obnoxious. I had an idea of, like, reacting to a reaction video of me reacting to my reaction video. And so basically, it would just be me looking at something, reacting to it, and that screen would get smaller, and then I'd be reacting to that, and that screen would get smaller, and then I would spit onto the screen below me, and it would actually come down, and then hit the other avatar. You know what I mean? Just like as if nothing happened, just to kind of fuck around with it. Does that make any sense?
That would be funny if it gradually, like, if you kept introducing more layers of reaction. I think it would be a little overwhelming if it just started the video with, like, 10 layers deep. But if it was, like, if it would pull out and then a new face cam would come in or whatever, that would actually be funny. And then it just became, like, there were so many different audio, clips, like, all overlaid on each other. You couldn't even fucking hear what's happening, but they're all just calmly reacting. That would be funny.
and they don't say anything. Nobody says a damn fucking word, and then it just, like, zooms out.
Or just they say stuff like, or like just like fucking adjusting your glasses or whatever. Just, you know, just saying, like, it's just a really shitty reaction. Like, you're supposed to be saying stuff, but you're, like, not fucking saying anything of value, or just, like, barely saying anything at all.
There's a guy whose content I really do like, but I never really liked enough to subscribe to him. But on occasion, when I do kind of check his stuff out, it makes me laugh. And there's his name is Jack's Films. I don't know if you know about him.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. There's something about him that annoys me. I can't really place it or, like, criticize him at all.
Yeah, well, it's probably the same reason why I don't, I haven't subscribed to him, but he does kind of have a little bit of that like uh, fighting humor. You know?
I think he's also a little bit more of that like, hey, what's going on kind of YouTuber. He's
I think he's taking a piss out of it.
Yo,
I mean, I could be
yo,
wrong.
so
Maybe
I ain't
we
want
have
to
to.
interrupt our conversation. I ain't want to be in this bitch not saying nothing.
Oh, you're good, man.
Yeah, yeah, you're alright. Oh, hold on, give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Okay. What's going on, Cameron?
Shit.
Fuck, dude. We were doing a lobby, and then we started having a conversation, and then we started talking about Tekken music, so we got bored enough to actually just go into the jukebox and start listening to the, like, we wanted to talk about what our favorite music was and what we used for different stages. And then I just hit practice mode, and we've just been hanging out, talking, not even playing.
I'm thinking about trying to get some more trophies and just fucking crash.
What time is it where you're at?
It is 10:45.
Okay, yeah, that's same. I'm in Arkansas, so it's
Yeah,
10:45 for me. And my
Hey,
last day to stay up.
I gotta take off now, but I'm gonna be on tomorrow if you guys want to get some games in. Okay?
Just let me know.
All right,
Yeah.
dude.
All right. All right. Well, have
Oh
a good
wait,
night, man.
I'm gonna message you on Facebook for those videos though.
Oh yeah, sure thing, man.
Okay, later.
Take care, man.